station after the final buzzer. This is where you come for instant post-game reaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Butler looking to stagger to Buddy. Three. Missed everything. Harden with the rebound, and that's going to do it. So the Warriors are going to play on Tuesday night against Memphis in the play-in.
That's right. Warriors lose in overtime to the LA Clippers. 124-119 is the final. We welcome you in here to Dubs OT with JD, John Dickinson, also Greg Silver. It's a Greg Silver Sunday here on the Sports Leader. We appreciate Greg for stopping by. And, of course, we're at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City after each and every Warriors game that is played in the building behind us here at Chase Center. And we'll just get it going right off the bat here. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. You heard Fitz say it there on the final call. Warriors do not clinch a playoff berth today. They finished the regular season 7th in the Western Conference. Clippers take the 5 seed. Minnesota ends up with their win at number 6. So the Warriors and Grizzlies in the play-in tournament on Tuesday night, right back here at Chase Center. And the winner of that one's going to play the Houston Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. So the Lakers are off the table for the Warriors, at least for the first round. Could get the Lakers potentially in the second round, but you got to get there first. And the Warriors are not there yet. They have this week of where they could have as many as 3 play-in games, essentially, effectively, to get into the tournament. And a terrific basketball game at Chase today. Greg Silver, difficult defeat. Warriors end up losing this one by 5. And I think the key question now, Jimmy Butler's status as he took a knee to the quad, according to Steve Kerr, late in the game, was really hobbled in the final minute or so. They're going to need him on Tuesday, but all told, as long as he's healthy and good to go, the Warriors take the L, but they still have another great opportunity, and an opportunity that could, if they can win the game on Tuesday, wind up maybe being a better opportunity than even had they just won today and played the Lakers.
Yeah, good to be with you here at Harmonic Brewing, and I obviously wanted Silver Sunday to be a little bit more festive. You know, we did this 364 days ago, end of the regular season, sitting right here, getting ready for a 9-10 play-in game. So I guess when you frame it like that, it could be worse, but the Warriors had a lot of chances to avoid this fate. And the reality is, when you look up and down the schedule for this year, both pre and post Jimmy Butler, they had opportunities many times to avoid being in the play-in tournament, and they simply earned the 7 seed. Now, they can earn the 7 seed in the good sense with a win on Tuesday, so I don't want to be all sky is falling today. There's a lot to react to. We're going to get into all of it, and I'll be doing it again at 10 a.m. tomorrow and in the coming days with a game to prepare for. But just a really brutal loss. Incredible game all around, and you know, I could sense the tension all around for the Warriors, for the Clippers, for the building, and the real desire to get out of the play-in tournament, which, by the way, I think is a good thing for the NBA. The Warriors just need to find a way to maybe win one of those games. Looking to be 1 for 4 coming up here against the Memphis Grizzlies on Tuesday. But, yeah, it's the Wild Wild West, and the Warriors today, they flourished in the non-Steph minutes there at the end of the first quarter. The Clippers are a really good team. Zubats, Kawhi Leonard looking healthy and made it tough on the defense. And Steph Curry woke up there in the fourth quarter and a little bit in overtime. But James Harden also a little vintage turning back the clock, what he did in overtime. And in the end, the Draymond missed layup, the Jimmy Butler not and one on the successful challenge in overtime, the shooting foul on Harden when the Warriors were trying to arguing it was a pass to Zubac. So it was just a lot of little things. And they had a look for Buddy Hield on that stagger play, which they'd run for Klay Thompson a handful of times, both with success and without success. Shot falls flat. Warriors lose to the Clippers, 0-4 against them this year, and they got to face the harsh reality of being the 7th seed.
Yeah, Warriors end up 7. Again, 124-119, the final in this one in overtime as the Clippers get the better of the Warriors 13-8 in the overtime period. It was all tied at 111. Just some thoughts generally on this one. Warriors got down 12-6 early and really flipped the game at the end of the first quarter. The Warriors went on a 13-1 run at the end of the quarter without Steph Curry, and that would prove to be a theme of the afternoon as the Warriors end up minus 16 with Steph Curry on the court in this one. Kind of the reverse Steph Curry plus-minus game for the Warriors. Minus 16 with Steph, plus 20. What would that be without him? Plus 21 without him on the court in this one. So the Warriors end up, or plus, anyway, I don't want to do I'm bad at math, but
plus 11.
Plus 11. Yeah. With Curry off the court in this one.
Different 5-point margin. We're not here to do math on a Sunday. I'll tell you that.
No, we're not. But Jimmy Butler, aggressive in the first quarter, 10 first quarter points, a couple of driving dunks. He was bullying his way, in particular against Bogdan Bogdanovic, to the free throw line. And the Warriors' defense, I thought, into the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, the Warriors defensively were playing at a championship caliber. I mean, it was Jimmy Butler, it was Moses Moody, it was GP2. They were all out there. The Clippers scored 1 point in about a 6-minute stretch into the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter. Warriors built the lead to 37-25 at that point. And then when Steph came back in, and this is where the game flipped, and I think flipped, at least in my estimation, I want to get your thoughts on it, in the Clippers' favor really for the remainder of the afternoon. It felt like the Clippers, from about the middle of the second quarter, they went on a 9-2 run. It was just a 4-point game at that point. It wound up being a 35-25 Clippers second quarter, and the bulk of that, after they had gotten down by 12, was that final half of the second quarter with Steph and a majority of the starters in for all of that. Warriors found themselves down 2 at the half after being up 12. And really, it felt like the second half to me was kind of an uphill climb. It felt like the Clippers were dialed. The Clippers were playing great. And the Warriors were just doing everything they possibly could to hang in it and have a chance to win it and or steal it down the stretch here. And credit to the Warriors for being able to do that. But as you look at the game, bigger picture, just too many turnovers. I mean, Stephen Curry ends up with 8 turnovers. Warriors had 15 as a team. Some bad pass turnovers. The Warriors didn't handle the blitzing of the Clippers defense. And Steph, in particular, didn't handle the blitzing well in a lot of moments here in this game. And, there was some shot making. The Warriors did get to the free throw line. They missed 5 free throws, 18-23. Jimmy missed 3 of them. Unlike him during his time with the Warriors, had only missed 2. But all told, too many turnovers. I thought the Warriors made enough threes to win the game. But from that middle of the second quarter on, the Warriors got stops, but it felt like the Clippers, some big-time shot making from them, but it just felt like they were a lot more comfortable in their offense in the bigger moments. Some of that shot making, and then the Warriors were taking, which team was going to get the key stop. It felt more as the game went on like the Clippers were going to be that team that would eventually get it. That rings true, and the Warriors are now in a position where they have to play on Tuesday night.
Oh, 100%. And so I want to get in some thoughts, and I think you laid it out really nicely with that second quarter, Clippers kind of getting back into their groove, overcoming the defensive pressure of a Moses Moody, a Jimmy Butler, at times a Brandon Pajemski there in that first half. And then they had a 12-2 run of their own. Norman Powell hits that big 3 at the end of the half, which actually that was defended well, but that was the difference between being down 1 going into the break and being up 2. And for that reason, and the Clippers also held a 1-point lead going into the fourth, it did feel more like an uphill climb for the Warriors than it did LA. I will say this. On the note of Steph Curry and the minus 16, I look at that and I think that the Clippers' second unit got eaten alive by the Warriors. And then Ty Lue just decided to ride with his core of Harden and Kawhi and Zubac, and those 3 in particular played terrific games. There's absolutely no way around it. And Zubac has always been someone that gives the Warriors a hard time. Kawhi Leonard, I know he hasn't been the most available always, but he was looking healthy today. And a healthy Kawhi Leonard, even at this age, is still a very lethal player, and that was the case for the Clippers. And so I think on the note of the turnovers, and I understand that Steph Curry was your offense in the fourth quarter and a lot of overtime. And he was the one, doing Steph things where he's hitting the big shots and he's trying to will his way to a victory in what he deemed a Game 7-like environment going into today. And so I get that he was crucial to the team, but the 8 turnovers does stand out in the box score to me because I don't know what the exact stats are, and maybe at some point we can get a little fun with numbers nugget on this, but usually in a game when the Warriors, as hard as they may play, as many shots as they may hit, as much support as they might get without Steph Curry on the floor, if either Steph or Draymond is pushing 6, 7, maybe 8 turnovers like that, I feel like it's more often than not they don't come out on top against a good team.
Yeah, and often it bites them before overtime or before it's a clutch game coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter and in overtime. And I think it got them in that scenario and has got them today, bit them in that scenario today, but it also bites them in that scenario, I think, as sort of the last resort, right? If it doesn't, often when that happens, they're not in it late. Today they were in it late, and it proved to be the difference in the game. Second chance points also the Clippers ended up with 9 offensive rebounds, 14 second chance points, 14-6 in a game that ends up being determined by 5. Again, it wasn't a dramatic number, but there were some key ones. Zubats making his presence felt. You really look at the game and the way it all. Harden ended up with 39. The 2 threes that he hit in the overtime were incredible. Yeah. Kawhi was spectacular throughout really the entirety of the afternoon. And then Zubats 22 and 17, efficient, 11 to 16. And that is, the Clippers have an ability to be problematic for the Warriors in ways where the Warriors are most vulnerable. They have guys that can, Harden can attack POA. You've got Kawhi who can just get whatever he wants, whenever he wants against everybody. You've got Zubats who can handle the interior, and then Norm Powell and others who can make shots. Although Norman Powell didn't do that today, right? As we've seen him do in the past against the Warriors, 1 of 6 from 3 and 4 of 13 for Norm Powell. So both teams turned it over. It felt at times like the turnovers were gonna end the day for the Clippers and the Warriors. But yeah, you just can't have any one player, especially when he's your number one primary ball handler, have 8 in a game and expect to win that game, even though the Warriors almost did exactly that.
Yeah, and again, Steph was terrific offensively in the fourth quarter and in overtime, but the 8 turnovers certainly will add up. And I know we want to get to the phones in just a bit, but my last point I wanted to get in on initial thoughts is that the Clippers did not mess around whatsoever today in terms of finding a defender to pick on for the Warriors. So when Buddy Hield came in, they wasted no time going right at Buddy Hield. Quentin Post, another one. Brandon Pajemski at times really got picked on by James Harden. Steph was getting picked on as well. And I think Draymond and Looney, those were your 2 options to go and defend the Zubats. But it's hard when Draymond and Looney, and especially Draymond, has to kind of play a little bit help or kind of cheat off sometimes and do a little bit of the extra work when you got a guy who's 7 feet, really efficient, and tends to kill the Warriors. He's got great touch around the rim. Zubats is not necessarily an all-star player, and if you just casually watch the NBA, you might not pay much attention to him. He's a damn good basketball player for this team, and his skill set really shines against a team like the Warriors because the Warriors, for whatever reason, they do play their best defensive lineups when you got a 6'6" guy, maybe 6'7" in high tops, playing as your center.
All right, he's Greg Silver. I'm John Dickinson. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 as we settle in here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City as we're with you after each and every Warriors game at home here at Harmonic in Thrive City. Great place to come before and after the game. Any events at Chase Center, have yourself a Kolsch. I think I'm going to be sipping on a Prog Rock here before too long. But we do want to set up the phone lines. We do want to get to a call here at 808 KNBR. The Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open as well. We'll get to a text. And, of course, we appreciate our regulars in the YouTube chat as well. And the conversation is already lively and spirited. Kyle Harr in our San Francisco studios. But let's get to our tip-off caller here of the afternoon on Dubs OT. With a couple of lines open, it's Robert in Oakland on the Sports Leader. Hey, Robert.
Hi, JD. I just want to start off by saying, why do we give the fate of the 6th seed to Buddy Hield? There's so many better three-point shooters on the team than Buddy Hield. For example, we could have had a Quentin Post.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They ran I don't think Buddy Hield was the first option necessarily on that play. But Buddy Hield is one of the better three-point shooters on the Warriors team. Quentin Post would be somebody that I think it would be hard to put on the court in that situation, given the fact that he had sat for so long. And other teams are trying to take aspects of that play away to where it doesn't wind up in Steph Curry's hands, or it even doesn't wind up in Jimmy Butler or Brandon Pajemski's hands. So you want, I think all told, you'll take that. Now, the shot was a little bit rushed, I think, because the play was well defended. It's not like Buddy Hield tricked a wide-open shot and missed it as badly as that ended up missed. There was defensive pressure on the entire play that kind of threw everything off. So, it did not end up being a great attempt, but Buddy Hield is a great three-point shooter in his career. He's made over 200 this season. He's one of a handful of players to make over 200 in the last 7 seasons. And as a second or third option, and somebody that maybe the defense will fall asleep on to try and get him that look, I don't really have a problem with it. Now, and you said it as put the fate of the 6th seed in Buddy Hield's hands. I don't think that's what this day was all about. I think the fate of the Warriors and the 6th seed was about the 8 turnovers from Curry. It was about the Clippers being great and the Warriors not exactly having quite enough offense at the end of the game to finish the deal in what was really an excellent and very evenly played game throughout against 2 teams that in all likelihood are both going to wind up being playoff teams. And I would bet at this point, Robert, both, and we'll see. I think the Warriors are going to win on Tuesday night. If I'm not, I'll say I was wrong, but I think both the Warriors and the Clippers are going to be teams that are going to win first-round playoff series and be playing in the Final Four in the Western Conference. So I think today was much more about that than anything specific. One play here, one decision there, that kind of thing. But you're not going to be the only one, Robert, that is thinking that at this point. Like, why Buddy? Well, again, I don't think he was the number one option. All right. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Yep. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Did you have a problem with, you said it, they ran a play, and I know it's been going around on social media. They ran a play that they've run for Klay Thompson in the past. Look, prime Klay Thompson is not Buddy Hield, but you're also in a scramble situation with seconds to go in a game, and Buddy Hield is still one of the best three-point shooters in the game.
No, and I don't want to get off on a whole Klay Thompson tangent or anything. And big thanks to the staff at Harmonic, by the way, always treating us well.
We got Shay here today. We got Mike here today. We got Alex here today.
No, it's good vibes. Despite the loss. But, hey, this is always a good atmosphere, and we're thankful that they have the hospitality to make Dubs OT a part of the Harmonic reality and vice versa. But I don't want to get on a whole Klay Thompson tangent because he's off the Warriors. We've gone through the whole thing. It's just that this team, as much as Jimmy Butler has helped and his play style and attitude and energy has added a new element and level of juice to this Warriors squad, it does highlight how integral prime Klay Thompson was to getting to 6 finals in 8 years and winning 4 championships and everything. Because when you got a guy that can defend the way he defended and also hit shots at the level of his fellow Splash Brother and Steph Curry, the Warriors just don't have anyone remotely close to Steph on the shooting front right now, and it shows. And I think, Buddy Hield got the last shot. I don't know what kind of looks Steph would have gotten if he was able to get free. He would have caught the ball. They might have fouled him right away to try to I don't know if they had a foul to give, but either way, they could have tried to foul him right away. You don't want to go to the line. You want to get a look. And Buddy Hield's still as much as he will drive fans crazy, and he's driven me crazy throughout the year as well, he does have this, what Monty Poole described to us as reputational gravity.
Yes.
So where I agree with what you said, it's tough to justify putting Quentin Post out there in that position as a guy who's a rookie.
Well,
Buddy Hield's probably your other best option for a catch and shoot.
And if you do put Quentin Post out there, then he's going to be out there with Buddy Hield and Steph,
right,
and probably Jimmy Butler. Like you're gonna put them all. So it's not. I don't think it was necessarily a one or the other. But yeah, Buddy has the reputation as one of the great three. I mean, in terms of volume, he's up there with Steph and Clay. Honestly, in terms of the numbers that he's put up over the time that he's been in the league, that time period. Again, he's not Steph and he's not Clay, but he's accomplished in terms of makes and percentage at a level that those two, that's comparable, compared to everybody else that's not Steph and Clay.
And I'm not particularly big on Buddy Hield. And our guy Austin Scott knows that, and Kyle knows that as well. But if we're just going to be objective about it, if you got to get a catch and shoot look in that situation.
There's 10 things that happen in this game where the Warriors lost and reasons why and this and that. The last shot going to Buddy Hield is like 15th on the list. Like, that's not something where I look at it and go, oh, damn, like that's why they lost this game. No, turnovers, second chance points, the defense, I think at times as the Clippers imposed themselves. I also think it was, even more than that. I mean, just elite performances from Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. I mean, that's the other component to it. And the Clippers, again, in a game that's decided by 5, the Clippers were just a little bit better defensively in this game, just a little bit more apt to get the 1 or 2 stops that they needed. And they were just a little bit better offensively in terms of tough shot making. The Warriors made some tough shots. Steph Curry was spectacular at tough shot making in this one. He was 7 of 12 from 3 and ended up with 36 points in his own right. But the Clippers the game is decided by inches here with this margin, and it really was a stop here, a turnover there. Kawhi drills this shot. Draymond misses a layup. Like it really came down to 2 big time daggers from Harden in the overtime. I mean, if Steph Curry makes those shots, the Clippers are tipping their cap to Steph. I think Harden makes those shots, as painful as it may be for Warrior fans to do. You tip your cap to a future Hall of Fame player in James Harden for getting the job done in those big moments. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line coming up here. But we got a few people that want to chat on the phone lines, including our buddy Danny in Vancouver, who's next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Danny.
Hey, gentlemen. How are you, JD? My man, Greg.
Hey.
Nice to see you on the show as well.
Doing well, Danny. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Just a few comments and question. I thought it absolutely was a very high-level game, very entertaining. I truly thought it was the Warriors who lost it more than the Clippers won it. That's not to take anything away from the Clippers. But with all the turnovers, Steph was brilliant, but with all the turnovers, he dribbles into the corner at the end. Drake can't hit the layup. They just didn't execute. It's sort of been, I think just a common theme. They just don't execute properly at the end. I have no problem with Buddy's shot. I agree he did rush it. But I know Kuminga didn't play, and I think that's right. And no disrespect to Kuminga, but I think he should not have played today. So I have no problem with that. And at the end of the day, I'm disappointed they lost, but I'm not terribly unhappy. They're playing for the 7th, and they have a chance to play the Houston Rockets. So overall, great game. I thought they could have won it. They should have won it. The Clippers were great. I mean, they're very tough out. But at the end of the day, we're going to play. We beat Memphis. We play Houston, and I really like my odds. So love to hear your comments, guys. Thanks. Have a great show.
Yeah, appreciate it, Danny. 808 KNBR, Danny's line open. We do have a couple of lines open, 415-808-5627. Yeah, at the end of the day, high-level game both ways. Clippers just a little bit better. Danny believing that the Warriors lost it more than the Clippers won it. I would disagree with that sentiment. Greg, what do you think about that? I thought the Clippers won it as much as or more. I thought the Clippers won it more than the Warriors lost it. I think the Warriors would have won it more than if it had flipped the other way. I just think it was that well played a game, turnovers aside, from Steph Curry. I thought even the total numbers of turnovers, it was 16, I think, apiece for the game.
It was.
So, yeah. I mean, that's not, that's towing the line as from solid. I think both teams will live with that number, to be perfectly honest. It's just the 8 from Steph that's the problem. But, no, I think, again, a lot of fans are probably thinking the Warriors kicked it away. I think the Clippers have been excellent. I think 18-3 in their last 21, 17-3, something like that in their last 20. They've been on a heater. Kawhi's been on a heater. I think this is the best version of the Clippers that we've seen in the last 5 years. They get rid of Paul George and his loser, all the loser intangibles that he brings. They go to Philly. What happens to Philly? And the Clippers are, playing at again, I think their highest level. They're the 5 seed. I think the Clippers are going to beat Denver personally. But I don't know. What do you think of Warriors lost it more than the Clippers won it?
Yeah, well, first of all, always love Danny in Vancouver and when he calls, one of our Dubs OT favorites. It's an interesting take, and I would have to disagree as well. I think that, and I can see where Danny's coming from in the sense that the door was left open enough for either team to take it, both in regulation and some chances in overtime. So I understand that the Warriors had their chances to really take it. The turnovers, any of them in the fourth quarter and overtime, are always going to hurt, and 8 from Steph is something you never want to see on the box score. I also think that the Clippers responding to the Warriors' hot stretch in the late first quarter, early second quarter with the run of their own was no surprise. This is a damn good team. They've been really hot. Zubac, Leonard, Harden all played great games, and I think the Clippers went out and earned it in the end in overtime. Sometimes it comes down to a couple of different shots, but, the Warriors, I don't think it was this pattern of lack of execution down the stretch that has sometimes plagued them. And, a couple of the turnovers, the Draymond layup, of course, is one that you want back. I think trying to draw the contact a little bit there and maybe get a couple of shots and a trip to the line. But I think we've seen brutal chances, and the San Antonio game this week, another great example where the Warriors have plenty of chances to just not make it dramatic, shut the door, and the Clippers played a great game to where the Warriors didn't really have a window to choke it away.
The other part of Danny's call, he mentioned Kuminga. That's obviously going to be a huge talking point, not only this afternoon, but tomorrow and Tuesday in the lead up to the game now against the Grizzlies, now that we know that the Warriors are going to have to play the Grizzlies. Kuminga didn't play. Danny thought that was the right call. I'm stunned, to be perfectly honest, that he didn't play at all. I thought it was going to be a short leash game for Kuminga where he would get the first 6 minutes, and if he played well, he might get an opportunity to play again in the second half for 6 minutes or so. But it's been trending in this direction for the last couple of weeks, and in a game that the Warriors absolutely had to have, Steve Kerr made the decision to give Jonathan Kuminga a DNP coach's decision. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it means that he automatically will not play on Tuesday. In fact, I would imagine he probably will play on Tuesday. I don't think it would have meant that he wouldn't have played against the Lakers. He had one of his best games against the Lakers going back to the game the Warriors won down in L.A. A couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half or so ago. So, again, I think for this matchup, in this high level of game, with as well as the Clippers are playing, Steve basically chose more Jimmy Butler minutes instead of Kuminga, and Jimmy Butler ended up with how many today? Over 40. Jimmy ended up playing 48 minutes of the 53 with the game going into overtime, and he played GP2 more. GP played 25 minutes in this game, and I think really those were the numbers. Moody ended up playing 31, but it was basically an 8-man rotation, and Hield and Looney only played 16. Quentin Post, one of the key stretches of the game, top of the fourth quarter. Quentin Post had missed a rebound, ended up being a score. He was getting attacked a little bit. I think if the Warriors and Clippers play again, you're not going to see much of Quentin Post, but his ability to stretch the floor allowed him to get out there a little bit. I think it was the right call for the right day. I think it also, now it's on Jonathan Kuminga to stay ready. And because I do think he's going to get an opportunity on Tuesday. If it's not on Tuesday, it may come in a first-round playoff series if and when the Warriors qualify for that. But he cannot sulk and go into the tank now because of this today. He has to be ready. Moses Moody got his rotation spot 2 years ago because Moses Moody stayed ready when Jonathan Kuminga played his way out of the rotation. Somebody else could play their way out of the rotation, and Kuminga's going to have to play, and he'll have an opportunity to be productive like he was in a Laker game, like he's been in other games. But I'm not going to argue with that call. A lot of people, it's going to be frustrating. I know for a certain portion of the Warriors content bubble, it's going to just be the most insane thing ever. And it's like I always say, when the Warriors lose and Kuminga doesn't play or doesn't play a lot, it always gets flipped into more Kuminga good. Well, more Kuminga has not been good for the Warriors over the last couple of weeks. So I have no problem with it. Again, I don't think we need to belabor it today. I don't think him not playing impacted the game either way. They could have won this game without him. They lost the game without him. I think if he had played, if he had been more of a consistent rebounder, I think he probably would have played a little bit. But because he's been inconsistent in that realm, I think that's part of the reason. In addition to here's the other thing, he's inattackable defensively. That's also a problem. Like you were talking about, everybody getting picked on, and the Clippers were. It's a Ty Lue thing. They're going to not let Steph beat you. They're going to blitz Steph, trap Steph in all the big moments. He's still got 36, by the way. They're also going to pick on guys the other way, and I think Kuminga would have been somebody they would have picked on. Not maybe in the matchup hunting way, but in the ball movement, loses his man, screws up his assignment kind of way. I know it's a lot to chew on, but I'll just let you kind of react to it as we knew that one was coming.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor it either, and I know we got a couple people on the phone lines as well. So just my quick thoughts. Like you, I was surprised that Kuminga didn't play at all. I would also say it's not cause for sky is falling or I'm going to be angry or let's freak out about it for the next 2 hours and 2 days. If it was the Lakers, and the whole time I was thinking this, if the Warriors win and they get the Lakers, they're going to need Jonathan Kuminga. Now, if they win on Tuesday and they get Houston, they're absolutely going to need Jonathan Kuminga and his athleticism to contend with guys like Amen Thompson and Tari Eason. Like, he will get his minutes. So, and he's probably going to get it against Memphis too, by the way. So, I was surprised. I think the Clippers is a hard matchup for somebody like Kuminga. You laid out a lot of reasons why. I don't think it needs to be some kind of grand indictment on what Jonathan Kuminga can bring to the table. He can absolutely still contribute. And to your point, it's on him to now stay ready, because I do think there are elements of his game against teams like a Memphis or possibly a Houston that are going to be necessary for the Warriors to have their best shot at winning.
All right, 808 KNBR, we got full lines, 415-808-5627. When one person drops, that's your cue to jump in. It's the best Dubs coverage in the Bay. Warriors lose in overtime to the Clippers. They're on to the play-in tournament on Tuesday. They'll play for their spot at Chase Center against the Memphis Grizzlies. 7 o'clock tip, by the way. That has been officially announced with both of the 7-8 games on Tuesday, and then we'll set up the rest of it later if it comes to fruition. Don in Walnut Creek is next here at 808 KNBR. Hey, Don.
What's up, JD? You're the man. Thanks for taking my call. I had a question. Do you think Steph was too much of a decoy down the stretch? Like that last minute, I mean, Draymond and Buddy Hield taking shots. I mean, I'm no genius, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think at times what the Warriors do is put the Clippers were making a point that they were going to double them. Now, you can make the case at that point, Don, that, letting Steph Curry try to play through that and around it is still the right move. But I think the Warriors were trying to use the fact that the Clippers were going to blitz him every time to, their advantage and to get easier shots for others. Now, some of the time, if Steph's the guy committing the turnover on the double, that's something that can obviously be problematic. I didn't have a problem with the last shot specifically, Don. I know I kind of laid that out. They were glued to Curry on that one. So the throw over the top to Buddy was a play that's it's designed as an option of that play to get a good look. Buddy did rush it. I think the defense made him rush it a little bit. But, I thought there was a fine line between just forcing it to Curry and allowing, the game and the way that the Clippers are playing it to move the ball and then get it back to Curry where he's in a position to make a play with a scrambled defense, which I think a lot of the time, Don, is the way that you want to play it.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. Have a good one.
No, appreciate it. No, thanks, Don. Curry, too much of a decoy down the stretch. Not on the final play specifically.
I don't know, though. Like,
I was going to say, how many did he have in the fourth?
I think it 18 in the fourth, although you can correct me on that if it's wrong. 18 in the fourth.
So I don't know about that. That was the other thought. I didn't have the box score right in front of me. I wanted to glance at it real quick.
He was drawing fouls both on the floor and the shooting foul, the way he got 3 shots. If anything, we talk about the 8 turnovers he had. I mean, he split the defense and then got himself trapped into a corner against, I think it was Kawhi and Zubac, which is a really tough double team. And we got some Rory McIlroy news as he goes and wins the Masters in the first ever playoff since 2017. So all you golf heads out there, shout out to Rory McIlroy and go and have a Guinness to celebrate. But I don't think Steph was necessarily a decoy down the stretch. I mean, Clippers kind of know how to defend him, and it's a lot easier when you don't have prime Clay next to you. And Jimmy Butler was great today, but obviously a different kind of player than Steph is. Going back to the final shot, how many true outside threats do you have? It's easier to narrow in on Steph when it's, okay, Buddy Hield, you're going to let Draymond shoot threes, even though he was making them today. You're going to let Jimmy shoot threes, and Quentin Post kind of your other one, but he wasn't really in the rotation today.
Yeah, I look, he had 18 in the fourth. He ended up with 36. He took 20 shots. But as much as it is about, I don't think he was being used as a decoy, but I think what the Warriors do try to do when teams blitz him is you get the ball out quick and then you get it back to him. That's what they try to do. They make the defense try to guard him away from the ball while you're playing 4-on-3. And if you can't play 4-on-3 and beat the defense that way, then Curry's moving around, constant motion. He gets it back in a position where he can look to attack. I thought the Warriors did a pretty good job of it. I thought Steph's shot making was elite in terms of with guys draped on him and around him and driving and get to the line and all of those things. But I think it's one of those where, do the Clippers feel good about the game that Steph Curry had? I mean, they feel good that they won, but do they feel good about the game Steph Curry had? I mean, I guess if they won, but Steph was great. I guess the only thing that would be different would be forcing the issue potentially a little bit to Steph. And I think that's kind of the worst thing you can do against the defense, the way that the Clippers are playing it. Ray in San Francisco next here at 808 KNBR on Dubs OT with JD following the Warriors' loss to the Clippers. What's going on, Ray?
Yeah, I watched the Warriors today, and I think they're guilty of a glaring defense all year long. They've got no low-post defense. These big centers, like was obvious today with Vucevic.
Or Zubac.
Looney's a great rebounder, but he's not a shot blocker. He's not really a defender. Probably Draymond's their best low post. But you watch these games, these guys take off from the top of the key, right down the lane, dunk it or put it in with hardly any resistance. They need somebody that can take care of that.
Yeah, I think Ray, that's in line with, I think, an off-season conversation, Ray. I mean, Draymond is the guy in terms of the top, but he's given up a lot of inches in terms of height, obviously. But the Warriors want to speed the game up and play him as the small ball center. Again, you're probably forced to do it for more minutes in the game than you would want to. I think the Warriors are comfortable ending games with Draymond at the center. They've said as much. But you have to have somebody, I think, that can play a greater percentage of the game than they've had today. Again, and it's very few matchups. There's a lot of matchups where the Warriors can play as they've played, but Zubac is one guy or one matchup where you would like to have somebody to kind of lean on him, I think, for 10 more minutes a game. If at all possible. As for it does help your perimeter defense in terms of having a threat back there to block a shot or clog the paint. I still think, though, in the Warriors' defensive scheme, it's more about help defense and point of attack defense to a lesser extent than help defense. When guys are traipsing through the lane, the point of attack and the help has got to be there at a greater level. They've proven that when they do that, they can offset the fact that they don't, Ray, have as much size as others. But if you're making a list for off-season versus play in now and play off, hopefully, run. I think, a big man that can play anywhere between, 10 and 20 minutes on a given night is an element that I think they would look at. But they have to that point, and thanks for the call, Ray, they have to that point, Greg, used Kevon Looney as that guy. He, though, too, in some matchups is undersized.
Yeah, for sure. And I get why Looney was getting minutes today against a guy like Zubac. I'm kind of curious to see how Looney would fare in the Memphis game and if it ends up being the Houston series, because I mentioned Houston as a team where Kuminga's had some of his better games this year. That's also a team in which Kevon Looney has really contributed as just kind of a steady defensive force. And if you remember the most recent game against the Houston Rockets, and I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole because Warriors obviously got a win Tuesday before we're even talking about a Houston series, but when Draymond Green got the flagrant foul and was starting to get into foul troubles and had to sit a lot there in the third quarter because, what was it, his fifth foul early in the third? And then Kevon Looney, the Warriors really struggled to score offensively during that stretch, but Looney is what made the non-Draymond minutes a stable factor to where the Warriors were still very much in the game. So I think Looney is someone that could be getting a lot of run if they play against a younger team like Houston.
Bottom line is Kevon Looney's trusted at this point. And, is he the guy you want to be your starting center? I don't think he can be with this team because you're playing Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green.
And how many minutes can he give you?
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think that's – but as a backup player, as a spot minutes player, thank you, Shay. Appreciate it. No, you're good. Thank you so much.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll do the same.
Yeah, great. We're good. Cheers. I'll wait for your beer, but yeah.
We can go with my water.
But
the sad cheers on a silver Sunday.
It is. Harmonic is – I'll be honest. It's not a Warriors just lost vibe here at Harmonic today in Thrive City. We got, people outside. A lot of people, watching the Masters after the Warriors game let out. Very nice crowd. We got Eddie, the owner, is here. Stopped by and said hi. And
FL Dubs fan, by the way, saying, do you guys have beers yet? What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I love you, FL Dubs fan. It's my guy.
Yes. The answer is yes, FL Dubs fan. Yes, we do. And thank you to Shay.
Thank you, Shay.
Appreciate it.
All right, there we go.
Cheers to Tuesday night play-in victory.
Cheers to some revenue coming in on Tuesday. Joe Lacob getting some money here.
Yeah, an extra gate for the Warriors on Tuesday night and an extra gate for the fine folks here at Harmonic and an extra beer or two for your boy on Tuesday night as well here as the Warriors lose to the Clippers 124-119. Let's continue on the phone lines. MJ in Fairfield next here on Dubs OT. 808 KNBR, we got a couple of lines open. Hey, MJ.
How you doing, guys?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Man, I was at the game today with my homie, and I got two concerns for you. I want to hear what you guys think.
Okay, let her rip.
First thing I'm concerned about is Curry turning the ball over late game. He did it a lot today, and I remember a few times in the season, can't remember what team, but he threw a lob to Kuminga late game one time and turned it over. I feel like his turnovers late game could be a problem. What you guys think?
Yeah, that is the one thing, because the ball is going to be in his hands. I think at times he's a little frazzled by the defense. I think at times it's just carelessness. It's just sloppiness. It's just not making the right play quickly. And I think there was a little bit of that tonight. I do think, or this afternoon rather, MJ, I also think when you're going up against a defense where what the game plan is going to be, they're going to be sending multiple defenders at you, you just have to take that extra little beat to make sure that you're getting it out and not quite be as risky. And I think he was a little risky and a little sloppy with some of the passing today, because to me, the issue today was bad pass turnovers. In a lot of different ways, but today it was the bad pass turnovers, and a couple of them, MJ, were on that double where the Clippers are going to try to get the ball out of his hands. If you see it quickly, you get the ball out, and the Warriors have shown over time that they actually will pick that defense apart if you don't turn it over immediately. And a couple today, there were too many of that immediate turnovers from Curry in particular, who had 8 of the 16. I mean, that's half the turnovers. Again, your best player is often going to get the most turnovers because he's got the ball and you need him to make plays. But 8 is too many under any circumstance, MJ. What else you got?
Right. So second thing, I mean, Draymond got kind of banged up today, so I'm worried about this matchup against Zach Edey on Tuesday. What you guys think? How it match up? Got a little banged up today, and he's got 7-3 center he's got to go against on Tuesday.
Yeah, he went to the locker room toward the end of the first quarter, and it looked like maybe a neck kind of a thing, and he ended up coming back. I will say this, MJ, the one part we can sit here and we can say, hey, great game. Warriors could have won it. They didn't. Things set up well for the Warriors against Memphis, I think, on paper, playing that game at Chase Center especially. And then you play the Rockets, the less experienced, on the come young team in the Western Conference, assuming you win that. That's all well and good, MJ, but the one big negative to the way today's game played out, in my mind, is how physically taxing the game was on the Warriors. And they're not going to practice tomorrow. The game is still more than 48 hours away. It's about 50 and a half hours away, 7 o'clock on Tuesday. But the Warriors played their ass off today, MJ. And Steph did, and Draymond did, and Jimmy Butler got hit in the quad by Kawhi late and he was limping something terrible. And I thought he was going to have to come out of the game in the final minute and a half of overtime there. And so you're playing a younger team. You're playing an athletic team in a lot of places in the Grizzlies. I like the matchup on paper for the Warriors, but as an older team, having to exude so much energy and not get the job done, I do think it makes the Warriors a little bit less than the best version of themselves, whatever that version will be for Tuesday. Doesn't mean they can't win. Doesn't mean they shouldn't win. But that would be the one concern given the way the entire day played out for the Warriors in taking the loss.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I just think the Grizzlies had a kind of easy game against the Mavericks today. We had a physical game, so his words might be a little banged up. But I agree with what you guys are saying, and excited for Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, MJ. Appreciate you. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. It's Dubs OT with JD and Greg Silver here from Harmonic in Thrive City. Let's get one more before the break, and it will be Duck Sauce in San Jose.
Hey.
What's going on, Duck Sauce?
Hey, JD. Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Hey, that one hurt, man. But few takes is, as far as the turnovers, it's almost a moot point at this point. Like, that's just what Draymond and Steph do. I mean, they've been doing it for 10 years. It's never going to change. As great as they are, they're going to turn the ball over. It's just what they do.
Right.
There was a play in the first quarter where Kawhi knocked it away from Moody, and then Moody, it looked like Moody was going to get to it first, and he didn't grasp the ball with both hands.
A little slow. He was a little slow too, Duck Sauce.
He was a little slow.
Yeah.
But my point is when they flip back to the game, after the replay, Draymond's yelling at him to grab it with two hands, and as much as he's a veteran, he's got some damn nerve yelling about anybody about turnovers. like, give me a break, man. But anyway, also I wanted to say on the Kuminga thing, like I was shocked as well, JD. I mean, even if you think he's not the guy to go with, to me, to phase him out completely a game before the playoffs is like, to me, you're creating an elephant in the room type of scenario, and I just think that was a bad move. That's just a bad call to me because you're making that elephant in the locker room now. To me, that could have been avoidable. The positives I did have is you can make it. I mean, if Kawhi's going to play like that, I literally think they could beat any team in this league in a series. I mean, he looked that good, and Harden was amazing, and Zubac was great, and even Norman Powell, he didn't have a great game, but he still found ways to hurt them. He had
sure.
little shots. So with that being said, all four of them hurt him, and they were still there blow for blow at the end with him. That Clipper team looked as good as anyone I've seen in the last month. So
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, Denver's in trouble to me. They're in big time.
Totally.
But the last thing I'll say is the other positive, I thought Jimmy, kind of quieted some murmurs, including mine, about can he take over the game still at the rim. To me, he got what he wanted at the rim, and the aggressiveness was there today. So, I mean, it was a tough loss, but I do think they did look locked in, other than the turnovers that they've been doing for 10+ years. So that's all I got. I appreciate you guys. Oh, I did have one question.
Yep.
If they win on Tuesday,
yeah.
does that mean they get the Saturday off? Because that would still give them 4 days rest if they get the Saturday off.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's TBD. It still could be Saturday or Sunday. The only one where it would for sure be Sunday is if they have to play Friday, which obviously nobody wants to have to play Dallas or Sacramento on Friday. But it could be Saturday, could be Sunday. My understanding, Duck Sauce, was had the Warriors won this game today, they would have played Saturday at 5:30 against the Lakers. I think that's going to now be – I will say this. Now that we know it's the Lakers and Minnesota, with Ant, that becomes, I think, the number one first-round series. So, obviously the Lakers are going to always be. Them or the Warriors will be. So I think that series is going to be the game. That first game will be Saturday at 5:30. I think the Warriors plug into Sunday at 12:30. That would be my guess if it's the Rockets or really the Thunder. But technically, I've checked with the league on this. It can be still Saturday or Sunday.
Okay, got you. Well, yeah, I appreciate it, man, and thanks for all the hard work throughout the season, carrying us through the season. As always, I'll see you guys in the playoffs.
Duck Sauce, thanks for the call, man. We're going to take a quick time out here. 808 KNBR. I marked down the things that Duck Sauce brought to the table here. We'll react to them coming back. We'll get into the YouTube chat. Kyle's Clicks, our first installment. We got more phone calls to come as well. Couple of lines open, 808 KNBR. Warriors lose to the Clippers 124-119. And we're talking about it. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader.
Hoops Heads, Dubs OT with John Dickinson keeps ballin'. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Steph split the defense, keeping the dribble alive, but trapped in the corner, and then taken away. They had him up there with that double team. Got a pump fake those, like fake low to go high and vice versa. Critical turnover there, and the Clippers trying to take advantage. Ball fake. Harden. 2-2 down the lane. Deflected and blocked, but goaltended.
Yeah, big block, at least it appeared to be, from Jimmy Butler, but a goaltend, call on the floor, call upheld, and the Warriors come up short. Clippers win it 124-119 in overtime. Just a thriller. One of the best games of the entire season in game number 82 with the Warriors and the Clippers at Chase Center. We're back at Harmonic in Thrive City, 808 KNBR. It's John Dickinson and Greg Silver. 415-808-5627. The Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open. We'll get more from the text line coming up. Kyle's Clicks and the YouTube chat is coming up here momentarily. But we do want to react to Duck Sauce's call before the break. He had a lot of good things. Basically, initially, just the Steph Draymond, hey, you're going to have to live with it. They turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
It's just part of who they are at this point. Not even tripping about that. I thought Duck Sauce brought up an interesting point, the point about Kuminga. He was as stunned as I think the two of us were that Kuminga did not play at all and was, at least for today, completely phased out of the rotation in the biggest game of the season. Duck Sauce had mentioned the point that it creates an elephant in the room scenario. I would disagree with that in this sense, Greg. I don't think it creates it's an elephant in the room for Kuminga that he's not playing. I don't think it's actually an elephant in the room for the rest of the team because I think Steph Curry and Draymond Green were on board with the Steve Kerr decision to not have him be in the rotation. And if Steph and Draymond and Jimmy were not on board with it, I don't think Steve would do it. So I think it's not like half the locker room is not thinking, why is Kuminga not playing? In fact, I don't think there's anybody other than Jonathan Kuminga in the locker room that's thinking, why is Jonathan Kuminga not playing? The onus now, as we've said, is on Kuminga to handle it. If he gets an opportunity Tuesday or Friday or in the first round of the playoffs, if he gets an opportunity, be ready, whether he's in the initial planned rotation or not, and he'll have the opportunity to help still impact winning. This whole notion that he was going to be the third star or fourth star, however you want to look at it, to help lead this team to this mythical ceiling, that's done. And honestly, it's been done since the moment Steph said, we got to stop doing this every night where we evaluate his games. You know, great game, he's a future Hall of Famer. Bad game, he should never play again and be traded for a bucket of balls like that. When Curry said that was the time that I think Kuminga officially shifted into a role player for this team. Like, he might play, he might not play. If he does get tapped on the shoulder and put in the game, he's going to have to play well. But again, I completely disagree with the notion that there's an elephant in the room because the Warrior stars, and we saw it with Steph, visibly frustrated the other night in Portland at a play where Kuminga just would not pass the rock. I don't think that part of it's an issue.
Yeah, it's interesting because we haven't really had to evaluate it in the true DNP sense, right? He was injured for 2 months. He had games where he was playing more. He had games where he was playing less. There was the whole it's his time from Steph and Draymond, and then that got kind of walked back a week and a half later. And so it's kind of been this up and down saga, but that's a worthwhile way of looking at it, I should say, because when you just scroll through social media, that's the not worthwhile way of looking at it. You mentioned the play in Portland. That was interesting to kind of zero in on Steph's reaction. I think that it's more, I would say from everything you laid out, I'm more focused on the, hey, he didn't play today. He's a role player. He's got to stay ready because he's probably getting an opportunity on Tuesday. And if they win Tuesday, he's probably getting some good opportunities in this Houston series. I would say I think of it more that rather than the veterans might be done with him necessarily. Like, I just think that, and I said this to someone on social media today, they're focused on one goal, the team, and that was to try to get a 6 seed. And now they're focused on another goal, try to get the 7 seed. All of that goes beyond just one individual player. So we've seen it happen with Moses Moody and the minutes going up and down. Now it's happening with Jonathan Kuminga being in and out of the rotation. So I think if you're Steph or Draymond especially, and now Jimmy Butler to a certain extent, the mentality for anyone who's not those three is just, all right, stay ready. We might need you. We might not. Try to master the Kevon Looney mentality.
You know who else didn't play for the Warriors today?
Guy Santos.
Guy Santos didn't play today.
So that's the other thing, right? Kuminga's minutes did not go to Guy Santos all of a sudden. They didn't go
to
crazy.
Anthony Lamb.
They didn't go to Quentin Post.
They didn't go to whoever. They didn't go to Damian Lee. They went to
Jimmy Butler.
They went to Jimmy Butler
and Draymond Green
and GP. They went to GP. GP doesn't usually play 25.
That's true.
GP usually plays 16 to 20.
But I'm saying they primarily went to Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you will live with. And again, I don't look. Kuminga could have had a positive impact on the game. They didn't lose this game because Jonathan Kuminga didn't play. They didn't straight up. Like, in fact, and I don't. You could have made he could have played. They could have lost by 10. He could have played. They could have won by 10. My point is, we could have that conversation both ways. We don't know the answer to it. What we know is the Warriors played fine, and I don't think there's any aspect of yes, Kuminga's high-end game, if he's playing well, helps the Warriors. His low-end game, though, would probably wreck the Warriors in a game like today. So that was the cost that Steve Kerr was going to have to analyze in an attempt to decide the way that he was going to play it out. And again, I don't think, to wrap up the conversation on it, and it will be a huge talking point, Kuminga played his way out of the rotation. Straight up. He has played his way out of the rotation over these last couple of weeks. And again, I think the Steph and Draymond and Jimmy were as on board with the decision as Steve. Nobody is looking at Steve Kerr other than Jonathan Kuminga saying, why am I not playing? Why is Jonathan Kuminga not playing? That's the simplest. The other point was on the Clippers, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on this from Duck Sauce. When Kawhi plays like that, they could beat anyone. I've already said it. I'm declaring the Clippers the winner of the Clippers-Nuggets series. I think the Clippers have been
I like that.
And we don't know that. We don't know. A lot of Warrior fans hadn't seen the Clippers unless you're really watching ball since December. Warriors had not played them since December. Even in December, the game that they played, the Warriors punted on that game. They didn't play Steph. They didn't play Draymond. The Warriors have not seen the Clippers in a long time. Kawhi came back a week after the last time the Warriors played the Clippers. Kawhi has been playing as well as he has since he was on the Spurs, or since he was on the Raptors, rather, in the finals in 2019, the last 6 weeks.
100%.
He's been tremendous the last 6 weeks. 1,000%. I think the Clippers are, if you're going to rank the top 4 teams in the West going into the playoffs, forget about seeding. I think it's OKC. I think it's the Lakers. I think it's the Clippers, and I think it's the Warriors. I think those are the top 4 teams going in. All things. I think Denver's down.
I was going to say, and
I think
it would have been Denver.
No disrespect to the Rockets. No disrespect to Minnesota. I think the top 4 in the West, again, we can quibble about 2, 3, 4. I think OKC has earned the right to be called 1. We can quibble about Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, 2, 3, 4. But I do think those 4 are the top 4 teams in the Western Conference. I think the Clippers have been that good with Kawhi playing at this level.
I know that the Clippers have won, as it now, 17 of their last 19. And when you look at the schedule, there aren't a lot of standout wins on paper in that stretch. That said, the reasons that the Clippers are a difficult matchup for the Warriors are very different from why Houston or OKC would be difficult for the Warriors. When you look at a Houston or OKC, you think the length, the athleticism, the depth, and just the fact that they could make the Warriors look old over the course of a 7-game series. When you think about the Clippers in a winner-take-all to stay out of the play-in tournament game today, you've got a great coach. You've got James Harden, who still continues to play very well and was cranking it back to 2018 in overtime there for a second. Kawhi Leonard was healthy. He was ridiculously efficient and attacking whatever the weak point defender was for the Warriors when he was getting the ball. And then on top of that, you got a guy like Zubac, who is a really fantastic role player. And it's not just that Zubac is a Warrior killer. I think he's got the highest plus-minus in the entire NBA post-All-Star break. So the bottom line is to have a 7-footer that is incredibly skilled and has good touch and can crash the offensive glass and consistently dominate post defense, that's hard to find in the NBA. And Zubac might not be the type of player that's going to earn an all-star nod. But if you're 7 feet and you can do all those things well, it is an incredibly valuable asset to a team.
Yeah, and by the way, Jonathan Kuminga getting shots up in Chase Center as we speak. As we speak. Check this out, the video from our guy Austin Scott. Kuminga is getting a post-game workout in. What's funny, the Warriors, you know what, the irony in this, do you remember the first game of the season? You probably don't because nobody does. First game of the season, I'm in Portland, and Brandon Pajemski came out after the Warriors won, and Brandon Pajemski was doing the Kuminga for like at 90 minutes after the game had ended, just going around at Moda Center, making the round, shooting threes. Again, Kuminga needs to not be shooting threes. He needs to be getting in a defensive stance. He needs to be doing the Tom Izzo rebounding, basically the basketball equivalent of the Oklahoma drill right now in the NFL, where you put the rebounding rim up and you get a couple guys out there and you go to work on the glass, basically like offensive linemen fist fighting to get a rebound. You do the Oklahoma drill.
Yeah, I like that.
Like that. That's, you put the rebounding rim up where everything comes off, and you get out there with like Zaza. Who else could be out there? Get out there with like Molly. Get out there with
Michael Petrus.
Hilton
deep into my Warrior bag.
Hilton Armstrong works. He can get out there with the biggest of the bigs. Bring Andrew Bogut in from Australia. Get that rebound.
I like Bogues. That's a good call. Biedrins, the guy who assisted Steph's first career three.
Yeah, no doubt. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Kuminga getting shots up. The last duck sauce point, I think this was a good one. Jimmy quieted the murmurs that he can't get buckets when it counts. That was something that – and I wasn't as worried about this as others were. I don't know what the conversations have been like between you and Greg Papa, 10-2 here on KNBR. But Jimmy, he went and got – couple of dunks, and like it did look like he flipped a little bit of a switch today and was more aggressive. He took 20 shots today. I know Steve said pregame that Jimmy being more aggressive doesn't mean taking 20 shots. He took 20 shots, and he got to the line a little bit less, but he was 12 for 20, scored 30 points, got to the line. If anything, the free throws burned him. He was 6 of 9 today. He'd only missed 2 free throws.
Yeah,
his entire time. He missed 3 today in a game that ends up going to overtime. But Jimmy quieted some of the can he do it stuff today if he's healthy. And obviously he's got to be healthy.
I mean, Jimmy was the reason the Warriors were cooking without Steph there in the beginning. And if you look at the final box score, you're going to see that Steph had 36 and he went 9 for 9 from the line and had 7 threes made and all that. But Steph kind of took a while to wake up. And I don't know how much that had to do with the wrap on his thumb. I think a lot of that has to do with the way that the Clippers defend him and Ty Lue, having seen him so many times, knowing how to prepare for Steph. Maybe some of that just has to do with general fatigue and the emotional, physical resources required to complete this home stretch of the season. Steph took a while to get going there. Jimmy Butler, not only was it a welcome sight to see him aggressive, it was a requirement to keep the Warriors afloat in this game.
I want to go to we got Peter here on social media, on X, on Twitter. Game on the line, and Hield gets the shot over Curry. Unfortunate, and back to the play-in game facing off against the Grizzlies on Tuesday night. Look, they didn't choose to, like, they ran a play. Plays have different options. Like, they didn't choose to, like, I think we're making a little bit too much of that. Like, Steph was guarded. Yes, you could, if you want to say Steph with 3 guys draped all over him is a better shot than an open Buddy Hield look. Again, Buddy took a terrible shot. He rushed it. It was gross.
And to your point from earlier, of the reasons they lost, that we're talking double digits there, Buddy Hield in the last shot.
It is the Buddy Hield shot is beneath the Kuminga didn't play aspect of it. Maybe. Actually, the Buddy Hield shot might be above the Kuminga didn't play aspect of it. But alas, Kuminga getting shots up inside Chase Center as we speak. Again, I think there's an opportunity for him to have the potential to play in the game on Tuesday against the Grizzlies. And if the Warriors are fortunate enough to win that game and get into the playoffs, I think they're going to need him in a playoff series. The Rockets are the team, objectively speaking, the Rockets are the team he played the best against. Not in the last meeting, he didn't. But in the earlier meetings this season, Kuminga had multiple games. He helped them win the game in overtime. By the way, the only other overtime game before today that the Warriors played all season was that game in Houston where they blew the 30-point lead, and Kuminga won it in OT with no Steph, and Draymond had fouled out, and Kuminga had, I think, 3 buckets in a row in overtime to help the Warriors win that game. The only other overtime game the Warriors played this season was that game in Houston.
Well,
incredibly.
Kuminga had that great game when Steph and Draymond didn't play at all.
And they won 99-93 back in early December. So, yeah, Kuminga's played his best basketball against the Rockets if the Warriors can get to the point where they're playing the Rockets. But to do that, they have to win on Tuesday against the Memphis Grizzlies, who are going to be at Chase Center. All right, 808 KNBR. Kyle, let's get some Kyle's clicks here. We got a lot of people in the YouTube chat. We're on fire here for the last hour and 20 minutes or so as we are here with Dubs OT, JD. We got Greg Silver, Kyle Haar in studio. Let's just go rapid fire here, Kyle, through about 8 or 10 clicks from the comments. Veggie Delight, playoff Jimmy showed up today. It was nice to see. The Warriors will definitely take that. Let's go to another one.
Now they need healthy playoff Jimmy.
Yes, now they need healthy playoff Jimmy, which is a fingers crossed kind of a scenario. Joke's on you, JD. Drake confirmed the play was for Buddy. Just saying, love you guys. Also smoke layups before that was the game. Yeah, I did see that. Again, if you're an option on the play, the play can be – again, they knew that Steph was not going to be taken away. I'm not trying to create an excuse or anything like that. But, yes, Draymond did say that postgame. Continuing on, JMU22, are you guys high? JK is not playing this play-in or off-season, Kerr all but said during his last postgame press conference. I think Kuminga will get an opportunity to play. I don't. It might not be Tuesday, but I do think at a minimum, if the Warriors get into the playoffs, at a minimum, there will be a game 2, game 3, game 4, whatever it is in the middle of a series where the Warriors are not playing well and somebody specifically is on a string of bad games, and Kerr will throw Kuminga in just to see what he can do. Pressure's off, right? No expectations. And that's Kuminga's opportunity. He did it with Moses Moody 2 years ago against the Kings in Kuminga's spot. He did it and Moses Moody played so well that he took Kuminga's spot for not only the remainder of that series, but for the Lakers series. It can happen in reverse. He's going to get a chance. What he does with it is the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I think he'll play on Tuesday, at least get a good stint in there, maybe in the second quarter when Steph's out, or maybe they'll do Steph with Kuminga in a lineup and have Draymond and Jimmy be off the floor, depending how it all goes. If they win on Tuesday and play against Houston, I think there's a really high chance that Kuminga's going to get some run throughout that series.
Yeah, and it might be, first 6 minutes in the first quarter, 6 minutes in the third, or first 6 minutes in the first quarter. If you don't play well, you're not getting the 6 minutes in the third. I think all those things could be potentially on the table there. Florida Dubs fan, yes, the Stars probably told Kerr regarding JK, do your thing, and Kerr tells JK, stay ready, like Moody, end of story. I think that's well said. Continuing on, Gary C. Clippers are one of the 3 hottest teams in the league, and the Dubs are in position to win. I feel good about Tuesday and their chances to make a title run. I agree. I don't think today, and I saw somebody on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line, JD, do you think it's safe to say, this from the 408, the Warriors aren't title contenders at this point, or do you still have some confidence? I don't think today should take away any of the confidence that the Warriors could be a title contender. It just may mean that they're going to have to work a little bit harder to get it, at least Tuesday.
Yes.
And again, no disrespect. I'm sorry. The Warriors might lose Tuesday, lose Friday. If they do, their season will be a complete failure. If they do. There's no sugarcoating that. If you lose Tuesday and lose Friday to Dallas or the Kings, your season is a complete and utter failure. You could bookmark that right now. I'm looking right dead into the camera.
I think if you lose Tuesday and get the 8 and lose in 4 or 5 games to OKC, I think your season's also a failure.
We could have a conversation.
Yeah.
We can definitely have a conversation. I think if the Warriors win Tuesday, I'm just going to say it. They got a better chance of going farther playing the Rockets than they would have against the Lakers. I know Warrior fans, the bravado, the LeBron Steph thing, the LA San Francisco thing. No Warrior fan wanted to admit that. No Warrior fan wanted to speak that you feared LeBron or you feared Luka or you feared LA. Like, I understand it. People up here in Northern California don't want to do that. But I think nobody wanted the Lakers more than you wanted Houston. And guess what? If you beat Houston, you're going to play the freaking Lakers.
In the second round.
Second round. Or you're going to play Minnesota, and you're going to be in the conference finals.
Right. Unless Anthony Edwards goes for 44 every game.
Not that it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
But you're going to – I'm going to tell you right now, if Ant somehow beats the Lakers, then you're going to the conference finals. Gene, go ahead. Quick thought.
No, I think I was just going to say my take going into this weekend was – I would rather play Houston than the Lakers if I'm the Warriors. I would probably rather play the Lakers by way of the 6th seed and the extra rest than I would Houston by way of the play-in. That's obviously off the table now in a different conversation. I'm
going to take the other. I'm going to take the other side of that. I would because you're still going to get 3 days rest.
And as far as the previous chat comment that was saying that the Clippers are one of the hottest teams and the Warriors gave them a good battle, yeah, I don't think this necessarily should take away from the confidence. The issue is that you now get into these awkward, single elimination, double elimination scenarios where one game things don't go your way, guy gets hot, guy goes ice cold, and all of a sudden it alters everything. And the Warriors have not had a good history in this scenario. So also on top of that, what's Jimmy Butler's health going to be? It's just the act of being an older team that I think you said it well. It's about 1 out of every 4 or 5 games they look flat. They look like they don't have it. And now when you have that sort of ratio and you're messing around with extra games, that's really the concern. And they expended a lot of energy to not go and get that rest and have to turn it around in 48 hours.
You're listening to KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM San Francisco, a Cumulus media station as we enter the 5 o'clock hour here. It's Dubs OT with JD from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Right next to Chase Center, Warriors lose to the Clippers. 124-119 in overtime. They are the 7 seed at the end of 82 games. It doesn't mean they're the 7 seed yet in the playoffs. They will host the Grizzlies, and those 2 teams will play for the 7 seed. Whoever wins on Tuesday night, officially the 7 seed in the playoffs, and will play the Houston Rockets. Clippers get the win. They are 5th. Clippers are going to play Denver in the first round. I'm already picking the Clippers to win that series over Denver, even without home court advantage. And the Lakers are going to play the Timberwolves, who ended up finishing a game ahead of the Warriors in the standings. They beat Utah today, so Minnesota ends up with 49 wins. The Warriors end up with 48. It's the Warriors and the Grizzlies who end up playing each other in the 7-8. Sacramento will host Dallas on Wednesday night. The winner Tuesday is the 7. The loser plays the winner of the 9-10 game on Friday, and the Warriors hope they're watching that from a Houston hotel room at this point.
Not another Steph versus Clay elimination game.
And not a Steph versus Clay elimination game or a free shot for a couple of teams that are completely undeserving of even having a chance to make the playoffs, to put it bluntly, in Sacramento and Dallas, who will finish 8 and 9 games behind. The Kings 8 and the Mavs 9 games behind the Warriors and Grizzlies.
That says more about Phoenix than anybody.
Phoenix, well, we're not even going to talk about Phoenix. Gene in the chat, and I apologize, Kyle, you had that one up. This game came down to 3 critical losses. Spurs, yes, by the way. Spurs would be, if Warriors win that game, they're playing the Lakers.
Yep.
On Saturday at 5:30.
They might have rested their people today.
Atlanta. I don't know about Atlanta. Rockets. It's not Buddy's fault. I don't know about Atlanta. Again, you didn't have Steph against Atlanta. You didn't have Steph against Miami. the Rockets game that they lost is not even the most egregious Rockets loss. The most egregious Rockets loss is the one in December that could have sent them to Vegas in the play-in tournament when they had a 5-point or 6-point lead, I think, with a minute left or something.
I got a short list for you, and this is not an exhaustive list.
At Toronto, at Utah the night of the Jimmy Butler trade.
How about both Miami games? The one at home when they were coming off the second end of a back-to-back and Jimmy Butler was suspended.
That one I understood, though. That one I actually understood because they had just lost Kuminga. They were in shambles because they were broken. Because that was when Steph and Draymond had put all their eggs in the Kuminga basket.
Yeah.
Save us. We're old and don't want to play hard right now. Save us. It's your time. Remember all that BS, all that nonsense. And then Kuminga gets hurt, and Miami. That might have been the last Heat culture game ever.
Yeah, or the second Miami game with no Steph.
But no Steph.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's actually funny. It might have been the last Heat culture game.
But here's the reality. If the Warriors don't have Steph or don't have Jimmy, and you better pray that this thigh thing is fine or the quad or whatever it is fine.
Then they can lose to anyone on any given night.
Jimmy, they could play Utah on Tuesday night and lose with one of those guys out. That's just reality. All right, Kyle, let's take a timeout. Do you want to take a timeout? Let's take a timeout. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's Dubs OT, JD. We got Greg Silver here. By the way, Greg Silver's birthday tomorrow. So early happy birthday. I know there was a big event that
I'll be celebrating by watching Memphis film.
Yes, you're not going to watch Memphis film. Save that for Papa. You're not watching Memphis film. Stop it. You're going to save that by having another whatever that drink was in the picture you sent me from.
It was actually called the Golden State Warrior. I was trying to manifest good vibes.
What was in the drink? Before we take a timeout, it was like Hennessy and like
2 different kinds of vodka and pineapple juice. It was just disgusting.
It was Hennessy. Think of what Hennessy, 2 different kinds of vodka and pineapple. It looked like an iced tea.
It did look like an iced tea. Yeah, I was joking that it was my Arnold Palmer.
It looked like you went to Starbucks like mid lube, and yeah.
No, it was gross, but you got to do it for the experience. And shout out to Mr. Liquor on the corner of 23rd and Guerrero, where they'll just have a little fridge and they have these pre-made baggies.
That was pre-made?
Yeah. So they just have everything in a baggie.
Kyle, you know about this? Kyle was shaking. Kyle's nodding his head. Oh my God. Yeah, I would be dead if I had actually.
Some are very delicious.
No, you do it for the experience.
Yes,
I wouldn't say it's for enjoyment.
Kyle says some are very delicious.
Kyle, you got to give me the list of ones that are worthwhile because I'm a hard-o for one right now.
All right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We appreciate Greg for stopping by here. Let's take a timeout. I am dreadfully off the clock, but we'll come back. More from the chat. We're going to keep this thing going till 6 o'clock. Greg may not be able to stay, but I'm staying till 6 o'clock. We'll do Sounds of Dubs OT coming up at 5:30. But more from the chat. Still time to sneak in a couple of calls. And the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Warriors lose to the Clippers. It's 124-119, and it's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is KNBR, and this is Dubs OT with John Dickinson, streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Kawhi, play off or play in. Here he goes. Down to 5 and 3. Leonard's going to rise up for the win, and we got overtime. Draymond Green, Defensive Player of the Year. He wanted to make one more stand, one more statement tonight. He chose to guard Kawhi Leonard. He's like, I'm not switching up for this man. I'm getting this stuff.
Yeah, Draymond Green with the stop against Kawhi Leonard in the closing seconds of regulation. Wasn't all bad today for the Warriors, but they survived that one.
Everything's ruined.
After Harrison Barnes hit the 3 in the game on Wednesday, I was having a little flashback, I will admit, to, is that shot going in? It looked pretty good off the hand.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously came up a little bit short. But the Warriors lose this one, 124-119. Clippers are the 5 seed. They will play Denver. Warriors are the 7 seed, which means they're in the play-in tournament. So they host the Grizzlies Tuesday night, 7 o'clock at Chase Center. And the winner of that game will formally be the 7 seed and play the Rockets. The loser will play the winner of the Kings and the Mavs on Wednesday in Sacramento. Those 2 teams play. That game's Friday, and that is a game, Greg Silver, the Warriors want no part of playing Friday night. No part of that. No free shot for Clay to come in and end the Warriors season and go to the playoffs on a 39-win team. No free shot for DeRozan and Levine to randomly hit 15 threes combined and end up getting beat in 2 by the Thunder. Like, the Warriors do not want to be, yes, I said that, get beat in 2 by the Thunder. That series would end in 2, not 4. You just take care of business on Tuesday, and look, the Warriors, they would much rather have their spot clinched and be in and be headed to L.A. on Friday to play the Lakers on Saturday. But I still do think that this has the potential to work out in the Warriors' favor, assuming they can get the win Tuesday night against the Grizzlies. Go play the Rockets, playing an inexperienced but young and athletic team. It's the young guns against the OGs. You win that, then you get your crack at the Lakers in the second round. You're going to have to beat them at some point anyway.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you can win on Tuesday, I think a lot of the discussions are out the window. I don't think it's a whole lot different than if you had beaten the Lakers, won today to play the Lakers, and then you get a couple extra days of rest in it, 2 different opponents. And if the Warriors can take care of business against Memphis, I think a lot of the nerves and the apprehension around Dub Nation probably goes away to some degree. You find yourself in a playoff series. Everyone in the West is ridiculously good. The question is just getting into a series and not playing Oklahoma City in round 1. I think if you lose on Tuesday, you could beat the winner of Sacramento and Memphis. But to your point, that Oklahoma City series, a young team with fresh legs going against an exhausted Warriors squad, that could be over in 2 games. And therefore, I would call it a failure of a season, going back to our discussion from a couple segments ago.
He's Greg Silver. I'm John Dickinson, 808 KNBR. Back to the chat we go. We're going to keep this thing going until about 6 o'clock here from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. We've got Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios. Let's get back into the YouTube chat. Great debate, as always. Andis Brown. Great to hear from Andis. If the Warriors win a chip, they'll be the first to win a chip as a 7 or 8 seed. That is a good point. The Jimmy Butler-led Heat got to the finals from that position a couple of years ago.
Second 8 seed never do it.
Yeah, the 6 seed, right, the Knicks in 99 were the other 8 seed, I believe.
Yeah, Van Gundy's Knicks, and then the 6 seed Houston Rockets.
30 years ago, right. And that was a team that was a defending champion, but similarly to the Warriors made a big midseason trade. They traded for Clyde Drexler, the future Hall of Famer and college teammate of Akeem Olajuwon, at the trade deadline, and then ended up as the 6 seed. Incredibly, they beat the 3, the 2, and the 1 in the West, and then beat the 1 in the East, which was a Shaquille O'Neal-led Orlando Magic team in the NBA Finals that year. They beat, I believe, 4 teams that won 60 games.
Wow.
The 1, 2, 3, and I think they were a 46-47. I think they won 47. They were they beat the top 3 in the West and the 1, all without home court advantage to win the title. One of the miraculous title runs in NBA history from that spot.
Team of destiny right there. You said a 3 seed, 2 seed, and a couple of 1 seeds right there. March Madness had none of that this year with all chalk getting to the Final Four. But
so the Warriors are going to have to beat a 2, a 3, and maybe a 1. I mean, the Warriors may have to do the same thing, honestly, and maybe not the 1 in the East. I think the 2 is coming out of the East in the Boston Celtics, but over the Cleveland Cavaliers. But we're a long ways away from that. At this point, it's prevent Dub Nation from having to sweat out. Can you imagine sweating out Wednesday? You lose Tuesday, you're sweating out Wednesday, sweating out Thursday, all day Friday. I mean, it's basically 3 days of sweating it out. You're watching the Sac Dallas game thinking, oh my God, is it going to be little brother from down the road? Is it going to be Klay Thompson, who made what turned out to be a horrible decision to go to Dallas for less, for less money? Like,
unless
who's
Dallas comes in, beats the Warriors, and then make it all the way to the finals.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is think of a tormented 72 hours if the Warriors can't win the game on Tuesday in the lead up to the game, regardless of opponent in Chase Center, which would be Friday night. Get the job done against the Grizzlies. Send the Grizzlies to that fate where a team that's 8 or 9 games worse has the potential to steal your spot, and head to Houston, where, again, I think the Warriors are going to be the favorite in a series against the Rockets. So, yes, Andis, if the Warriors win the chip, they'll be the first to the 7 or 8 seed. Bees Knees, JD, we were right. This year, just a warm-up for next. Dub's big offseason coming. I mean, I'm not ready to go there on April 13th today, but I'm not saying they can't win it or win a couple of playoff series. Like, today does not end any of that for me. Does it change it for you?
No, it doesn't. But to Bees Knees' point, I get what they're saying in the sense that when the Jimmy Butler trade happened and they signed him to the 2-year, $112 million extension, it became very clear what the plan was and what the short-term marriage was. And there was so much talk about the 2 timelines and who would be traded from the Warriors if they did make a trade. And they were constantly in this, well, they're good enough. And look, they beat OKC, but then we go to Toronto and we struggle to actually score, and then we end up losing. And it was just too inconsistent to the point where you wanted to hold on and see if you guys could make a run, and the team chemistry was great, but then they ultimately didn't go anywhere. So when you made the Jimmy Butler trade, there was finally this semblance of clarity. And I think that clarity extends well into next season, to where if the Warriors don't win a playoff series here, or hell, if they don't even get into the playoffs at all, then you very much are looking at the offseason to think about what you can do to be a contender next year. And maybe it's not any drastic move taken at all, but to Bees Knees' point, I understand the sentiment there. That's not to say I'm writing the season off by any means.
No, and it was always about that. Like, it was always about take your chances this year. And while you're seeing and evaluating this team as it relates to how far they can go, you're making a list of, should they come up short, what do you need to add? And how do you need to augment the roster? I think a guard, and again, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this now, but a guard that can create his own, a sixth man kind of scoring guard would be one thing. I think the most important thing is a top 7 rotation or even starting caliber 3-4 that can play with Jimmy and or Draymond and shoot the 3 ball.
Yes.
I.e. Cam Johnson, Keegan Murray.
They do need more shooting. They could also use some rim protection, a la Andrew Bogut.
And that would be the third thing. The third thing would be a center that's a legitimate 7-footer that's not going to get hypothetically speaking, and I'm saying this half kidding, I mentioned this to you off the air, Jonathan Kuminga for Keegan Murray and Jonas Valanciunas. Who says no?
Kings might say no.
The Kings might say no, but Vivek might think that he's going to fleece Joe Lacob by getting a future superstar, and he would in turn probably get fleeced, and Keegan Murray and Valanciunas would help win the Warriors a title next year. Did I just say that out loud? I'm going to get aggregated in Sacramento. Oh, my God. The Warriors better win on Tuesday. Otherwise, I'm going to be public enemy number 1 in Sacramento. Hi, Sacramento.
Yeah, I was going to say, you and the Sacramento fans, I love the back and forth, especially around the De'Aaron Fox thing. But, hey, he's on the Spurs now, a Spurs team that he didn't play on, and is a big reason why we're talking about the Warriors playing in a couple of days right here at Chase Center today.
All right, let's continue on in the YouTube chat here on Dubs OT. JC Mack. JD, what are your thoughts on GP2 playing 25 minutes when he was ineffective against Harden and passed too many shots? Now, that's an interesting comment. I don't think GP was ineffective against. I mean, it's like saying, like, were the guys that the Clippers threw at Steph ineffective because he scored 36 points? And again, Clippers won the game. The Warriors didn't. 25 is a lot for GP. 25. I think even when GP's playing well, is probably about 5 to 7 too many. I didn't think he was ineffective. I do think you're right. When GP isn't getting layups in the context of the Warriors offense,
right,
or hitting the three ball offensively, it can be a little troublesome. When he's out there and teams are going to take Steph away, the ball does tend to find him in ways where maybe he doesn't want to shoot it. I didn't think that was glaring today. Did you think that was glaring today?
I would put it on the list. Again, it would be closer to the Buddy Hield missing that last shot part of the list rather than the 8 turnovers by Steph or just Zubats and Kawhi Leonard and Harden having incredible games. That being said, I did have the thought there in overtime, it's really hard to have Gary Payton out there when you need important offensive possessions and executions. And sometimes he's that guy where he's finishing around the rim and he's hitting the three ball and he's getting dunks.
Who's the guy tonight? Is it Moody? Because I think Moody was, we kind of buried the lead in terms of, GP played a lot, finished. The guy who didn't was Moody as much. I mean, he played 31 minutes. But it's like a lot of people say GP,
Moody.
A lot of people say GP Kuminga. It's really GP Moody was the decision in terms of guys who were going to be in the rotation no matter what. Moody is more of a capable shot maker. Again, it was a lot of GP tonight. I didn't think GP was terrible. I didn't think he was even bad. I'm looking at what it is, his plus. He ended up being a +4, so he was one of the pluses in terms of that for the Warriors. But, yeah, I didn't think it's a fine line. The Warriors still have a group of players where it's either more offense, no defense, or more defense and not enough offense. Blending that is important, and I think the Clippers are uniquely equipped to be able to expose that because they, in their top 6-7, have two-way players. Norman Powell's a two-way player. Kawhi Leonard's a two-way player. Zubats has turned himself into a hell of a defensive player. I mean, he might be an all-defensive team center this year.
Right.
Zubats has been really good defensively. Dunn is a great defender. He's more of a defense-only guy, although he was 4 for 4 and 3 for 3 from 3 in this game. Where did the Clippers get a little bit of found money? Derrick Jones Jr., more of a defender. But the Clippers, I think, have more two-way guys than the Warriors do. And so, Steve has to figure out the right blend of what's too much JK, what's too little, what's too much GP, what's too much Moody. He's got to balance all that.
No, I think that's one of the better comments by JC Mack today. And if we're going to do some nitpicking of rotations, then a little more Moody, a little less GP2 would have been my preference for something I would have tweaked there in the end, because you mentioned the one-way versus two-way players. Well, Buddy Hield took that last shot because he's a one-way player. He can hit the three. He wasn't out there in the key minutes down the stretch. Gary Payton II has had some offensive production and has shot the three ball better than we ever would have expected since the All-Star break, but he's dealing with a torn ligament in his thumb, and I know he can be that kind of ball-hounding, better point of attack defender type on this team, but Moody had a hell of a first half, and I know he has not been shooting the ball that productively in the last 14, 15 games or so, but still his ability to make shots on the average basis, going back to the whole reputational gravity, if you're going to make me pick a guy to take an open three, you're picking Moody over GP2 9 times out of 10.
You are. And so I think in the perfect world scenario for the Warriors, it's Moody playing well on a given night to where he's the closer because he's more of a two-way player than GP is. In a perfect world, you want Steph, Pajemski, you want the starters to be the closers. in a perfect world. They leaned a little bit more defense than having a balanced player out there in GP tonight. But again, the reason GP played 25 was as much about Kuminga's DNP as it was about anything. I mean, Moses Moody still played 31 minutes. It's not like Moses Moody played 20.
Sure.
He earned it. He deserved it. They're going to need that from him on Tuesday night if they're going to have the ability to beat the Memphis Grizzlies and get that number 7 seed. All right, James Solano, love our Dubs, win, lose, or tie. But is this still a culture of strength in numbers? Feels to me it's back to we believe. We need Steph dropping 40 and Dre performing like a defensive player of the year to win. I don't know about that. I think, look, when they've won, the Clippers are an excellent team. So tonight I don't think was really about that necessarily. I think tonight was more about, and when they've lost games, they need the others to come through. Like Steph 8 turnovers aside, I mean, Steph had 36 in this game. Jimmy had 30 in this game. Like offensively, Podziemski had 19 and did it efficiently. Like, if anything, I mean, I don't know where you go offense, defense tonight. I mean, they got the third scorer was Potts. Draymond had 14. I mean, it was just a little more balanced from the Clippers top. The Clippers top 2 had 6 more than the Warriors top 2, and the game was decided by 5. I think that's your difference. I mean, the Clippers got 8 points off the bench. The Warriors had 16. I mean, so I don't know. I think the Warriors are still, I think they're still strength in numbers, but the guys that we're considering the numbers are actually starters.
Yes.
In Moody and Podziemski.
Yeah, and the margin for error is a lot slimmer. They can't be a team that can come out sleepwalking sometimes or have 15 turnovers in the first half and then just flip the switch and have it all be okay in the final 7-8 minutes or so. It's hard for me to ever say a team with Steph Curry on it is we believe. Oh, and not to mention you have a future Hall of Famer in Draymond Green, and you have Jimmy Butler to that squad now. So I wouldn't go that far as to say it. I think this is a good team, but the reality is every 4 or 5 games, they look like a team that is tired or can be had or can't make any shots, and I don't think they have enough shooting on a consistent basis. And the other half of it is just the West is really good. There's a lot of teams that can be really good and have had some bad losses as well. I think Minnesota is a pretty good comp for what the Warriors were this year. Not the same team in terms of how they play or their lineup, but just in terms of delivering the performance, the type of team they could be, and the type of team they could also not be sometimes. The West is hard.
The West is hard because the West is good, and I think that's the thing. So I don't view it the same way James does in terms of Steph's got to be. Look, the best players have to be good. I don't think they have to be that good. They have to be good, but you still need the contributions from the others to get the win. Let's continue on. Rusty Nail, don't fret, Dub Nation. Win on Tuesday. This is a great path. I mean, that's really, in the simplest terms, what it boils down to. The next 48 are going to be a little, what's going on? Don't want to lose that one. What's wrong? This Kuminga thing. Is Jimmy okay? Like, all of that true. But if you win and we're sitting here 9:30, you won't be. I will be. You might hop on, but you're going to be home Tuesday night.
We'll see. We'll see. I might be talked into it.
I'll be sitting here at Harmonic in Thrive City on Tuesday night, and if the Warriors are in the playoffs and booking their trip to Houston, then I think they're going to be feeling excellent about the way things played out. One more game, yes, but still, and again, we don't know. That's the one matchup. I was told if the Warriors had played the Lakers, just so everybody's in the loop on it, they were going to start Saturday. They're not playing the Lakers. Obviously, if they play OKC, that means they would have to play Friday, which means they could only play Sunday for Game 1 against the Thunder. My understanding is it could be Saturday or Sunday. And I don't think the NBA, and I'm going to check my email here real quick, I don't think the NBA, nothing new above my canceled flights to and from LA next week that I did during the break here. You're not going to get the league announcing until that game is played, because there is one scenario where it's the Warriors, and the Warriors will get a certain couple of slots, and there's another scenario where it's Memphis against Houston, and that series is going to be a snoozer in terms of the national landscape, and they're going to be all at like 6:30 Pacific every night. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors are playing Sunday at 2:30 Central, 12, the same slot they were in today. My guess, again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but my guess would be if the Warriors win Tuesday, they're playing Sunday at 12:30 Pacific, 2:30 Central in Houston. At
Yeah, a little Easter Sunday game. And we thought that was for sure going to be the case if they played the Lakers, but now they got a slot around LeBron James and Steph Curry in 2 different time slots. So
yeah,
there you go.
No question. 808 KNBR. Let's continue on the chat here. We'll go about another 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll take a timeout. We'll do sounds at Dubs OT. We'll end it here at right about 6 o'clock. FL Dubs fan, even with all of Kerr's basketball sleight of hand, a game like today shows, even with the tricks, we're just too small. Take notice, Dunleavy. I think that's on the list. In terms of, is it now, where are you on the too small? You've already said rim protector, shot blocker, all those things. Where are you on the too small as it relates to wings?
Could always use more wings in today's NBA. Wings that can shoot, I should say. So
yeah, it's got to be a two-way guy.
It's like how every team that was going to the finals kind of had a Jay Crowder for a while. Yes. He was in Phoenix. Then he was with Miami.
The new Jay Crowder is Dorian Finney-Smith, by the way.
Oh, good call. Yeah, now on the Lakers. So
Dorian Finney-Smith is the new Jay Crowder. I think they may have overlapped at one point in Dallas or something. Maybe at some point in their careers. It would surprise me not at all if somewhere along the line Jay Crowder was Dorian Finney-Smith's vet. Because they're very similar. Anyway, but yes.
So yeah, I think in today's NBA, there's no such thing as as too much shooting or too much wings with some good length who can defend.
Yeah. So again, we were kind of half joking. Larry Kruger, by the way, checking in on the personal text line.
Oh, Larry
Krug says drinks cost double for JD at Club Toomey. That's in Sacramento. For those who don't know, for those who know. Club Toomey in Sacramento. Larry also chiming in saying he liked our hypothetical Warriors-Kings trade. Yeah, I think folks on the Warriors side of it would like it probably a little too much, to where Vivek could be like, no, man, I don't want to get fleeced. I don't want to get fleeced. So
hey, I'm not counting out any front office or ownership right now. We saw it not just with Vivek this year, Memphis, Denver. Maybe it's spreading like wildfire. Who knows?
We'll see. And again, the Warriors going to take on the Grizzlies on Tuesday night. They hope to not have to face Sacramento or Dallas on Friday night. But, yeah, I think you want a wing that can shoot. You want a wing that can shoot. Again, I think the Cam Johnson thing, and Kyle knows, Kyle's going to, send us to break here because he's heard me mention Cam Johnson so much. You before that. That is the player. I think he's going to be in the Kuminga price range, roughly around that $20 million mark. Although, Kuminga getting a DNP. Is he going to get that? We'll see. Again, not a conversation for today, but that type of player, I think among the wing players, the shooting is more important than the other stuff. But you have to be careful when you look at size as it relates to bigs, because if you're going to have a big, if you're going to go get a 7-footer or a shot blocker, that player has to be able to close with Draymond and with Jimmy and so if it's going to be a true 7-footer, that player's got to be somebody that can shoot the ball, and those types of guys just are not readily available. It's like Miles Turner, Bobby Portis.
Oh, if you want to talk about players that have been mentioned a lot, don't get Greg Papa started on Miles Turner.
Yeah, defense. Again, and he might not even be somebody that closes every night for the Warriors, but he can shoot the three, he can block shots, he's a good defense, all those things. He would work. All right, let's do another one. Just heard JD say Cam Johnson. That means I got to do a shot. Damn, that's true. That's a fact. The Cam Johnson alarm has been set here at Harmonic. That's right. You got to have one of those whatever Greg had with the Hennessy and the vodka and the pineapple juice.
By the way, I did it so that Warriors.
Can you believe that? We got Billy Joe and Alamo hanging out.
Yeah.
And Greg's birthday's tomorrow, by the way. Yeah. So anyway, Greg
I'm old.
Yesterday was having a little Saturday birthday celebration, and he went to this, I guess, famous spot in the city where there's like plastic baggies of this concoction. And tell Billy Joe what was the concoction?
So this one was called the Golden State Warrior, and I was like, well, they got a big game tomorrow, so maybe I'll manifest something good. Two different kinds of vodka, Hennessy, and pineapple juice. And now, sitting here after the Warriors are going to be in the play-in tournament anyway, I'm thinking, what a terrible decision. It was all in vain, and I regret it.
2 different kinds of vodka and Hennessy. My goodness. And Greg's here. He still showed up to do the show today, which I'm surprised.
Just a single one, a single Arnold Palmer.
Gene, Kawhi 1 for 7 tonight versus good defenders. He was mostly matchup hunting. That's a fact. The Clippers were matchup hunting tonight and used it to their advantage. Let's get a couple more here before we take a timeout. Buco Sports, 2023 Jimmy Butler went to the NBA Finals from the play-in. Just saying. Yeah, the Warriors are hoping that they can capture a little bit of that, to use Steve Kerr's quote from a couple of weeks ago about Jonathan Kuminga. Give me a little of that, I think, is what Warrior fans are saying. Another one here in the chat. AD, I'd rather play OKC. I think they're overrated. Only ESPN sycophants think they're actually a good team. I would avoid Houston like the plague. OKC is a better matchup. I completely disagree with that. Although, I'm going to say something really that's going to probably be unpopular. If I'm the Warriors, I would rather play OKC than the Lakers. I would rather play Houston than both. I would rather play OKC than the Lakers.
I would definitely rather play Houston than OKC. And here's the deal. If you're the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the Western Conference, you're good. So I actually thought there was a little bit of overreaction after the Warriors lost to Houston at the end of an exhausting week. And Houston came in. They played great. They responded to the whole end of first half Draymond Green flagrant foul debacle way better than the Warriors. They were poised. They regrouped. I give them a lot of credit. All of a sudden, though, it felt like a switch was flipped and the discussion was, well, I couldn't play them. Houston is sort of this year's version of what OKC was last year. Yeah, they were really good in the regular season, but they're young, and I don't know if they could make it to a finals run. I would much rather play Houston than OKC. Not saying that's an easy matchup, but if we're going to talk about the youth, the inexperience of the playoffs, and a team, by the way, the Warriors have had their number in Houston. I guess they played OKC pretty well, too, this year, but OKC just got too much youth, depth, and they got an MVP caliber player on their team. I can't necessarily say the same about a star player for Houston.
All right, more Kyle's clicks coming up. Yeah, OKC Warriors go 2-1, both before the Jimmy Butler trade. 3-2. Remember, they had the extra game because of the in-season tournament. Warriors went 3-2 against the Rockets this year, including a couple of wins without Steph. They lost with Steph. Oddly, they were 3-1 before the 2-1 before the Jimmy Butler trade, 1-1 after the Jimmy Butler trade. So it's a little bit more of a mixed bag for the Warriors with the Rockets. One quick text here before we take a timeout on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. 209, Warriors couldn't get a defensive rebound in the fourth. They're too small. On that note, and then the 707, JD, I noticed GP passed up several open looks over the course of the game. What's up with that? That's part of what you battle, I feel like, and we touched on it a little bit a few minutes ago. That's part of what you battle with GP playing a lot of minutes in a game where it feels so big. I think he, at times, was in his own head a little bit, not wanting to take a bad shot in a big moment where there are others on the floor who you would think maybe deserve to take that shot more than him. When he's at his best, he's getting enough layups to where a pass-up you don't trip about, but he's also in a perfect world. I'm looking at how many threes he took. I thought he took 1 off the top of my head. Yep, 0 for 1 from three-point range, and only 1 for 4 as you look at the GP shot chart. I mean, this was one of those games where I'm guessing he missed a couple inside. Yeah, he had a little.
Well, the first possession of overtime.
Yeah, yep, 1 inside. Those were the 2 shots that hurt you in the Draymond layup, and that one are the 2 when you lose that really could have extended it. But yeah, the 2 in the paint. So 1 of 3 in the paint. That's the part. If that's 3 for 3, maybe we're having a little bit of a different conversation. All right, timeout here. We'll come back, and we will continue on here with our Sounds of Dubs OT. We'll do some fun with numbers. And our final installment of Kyle's Clicks will set the table for Tuesday. Warriors drop this one to the Clippers 124-119. They'll play the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament on Tuesday, and we're going to be all over it right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, welcome back. Warriors lose to the Clippers, 124-119 in overtime. So the Clippers move on to the NBA playoffs. They are the number 5 seed in the Western Conference. They will play Denver in their first-round series. The Warriors are in the play-in tournament. As the 7 seed, they get 2 chances to win 1 game. Either Tuesday against the Grizzlies. If they win that one, they will play the Houston Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. If they lose that one, they'll get a shot at the Dallas-Sacramento winner on Friday, also at Chase Center. You have to go that route. You got to play OKC in the first round of the playoffs. Thunder, obviously, the 1 seed in the West. So let's get to our Sounds of Dubs OT here and get it rolling with a couple of Steve Kerr clips. Here was Steve Kerr first talking about Jimmy Butler and the 48 minutes that Jimmy Buckets played in this game.
It's a playoff game, Harden played 48, Kawhi played 47, Zubac's 42, Powell 44, Brandon 43. So when you get to these type games, you tighten up the rotation and you play your guys and you go for it.
All right, so when you get to these types of games, you tighten up the rotation, you go for it. Kerr citing Norman Powell, 44. Harden played 48. Kawhi played 47 minutes. Kawhi Leonard, wow. And the Clippers really needed it. 43 for Podziemski. Again, Steph and Draymond, a couple over their norm for sure at 38, even in the overtime. So you go for it there. That the first part of the minutes distribution question. The second part of the minutes distribution question is the one that you knew was going to get asked about Jonathan Kuminga, his first DNP coach's decision of the entire season comes in game 82 of the most important game. Steve Kerr at the podium explaining why no JK against the Clippers.
We've just found a group, with since Jimmy got here, that we're pretty comfortable with. Guy didn't play either. Guy's been our highest plus minus guy over the last 2 months. Both he and JK have been really impactful players for us, and doesn't mean they're out of the loop, going forward. It's just this is how this game played out.
Wow. Steve Kerr with the Guy didn't play either post game, and Guy has been one of their plus minus leaders, which he has been throughout the course of the season. How does Guy didn't play either and the Jonathan Kuminga's on the same level as Guy Santos card hit you?
Could hit me in one of 2 ways. One way is, Guy Santos also didn't play, and he was there to stay ready. Didn't he get it from the scorer's table at one point, or am I making that up?
I missed that. He may have, but okay. I missed it. I cannot confirm that.
Anyway, he didn't play, so I think some of it might be like, yeah, this is the reality. Sometimes guys who have regularly been in the rotation don't play, and so be it. And then the second way I can read it is, JK wasn't even going to be my next off the bench if I expanded the rotation because it was going to be Guy Santos.
Yeah, and I think that's a great call in terms of the analyzation as it relates to that particular scenario. Again, we've talked about it. We're not going to belabor it in this segment. Kuminga's got to just stay ready. And I do think Steve's going to give him another opportunity at some point. If it's Tuesday, Kuminga, if he plays well, he'll have a shot to re-enter the rotation. Again, I don't think Kuminga not playing impacted any part of this game positively or negatively for the Warriors. I think they're good enough. And I said it in Hawaii. This team was not built around Jonathan Kuminga or the need for Jonathan Kuminga to be great. I said it in Hawaii, folks, October. And people didn't want to listen. They want to be defiant. Yes, Kuminga looked like maybe they're number 2 and they were going to win 35 games before they got the Jimmy Butler trade. Like, it is not as big a thing as it gets made to be on the outside, and it surely is going to be a big thing in the Warriors' content bubble over the next 48 hours. It shouldn't be. And if you want to have the conversation is should the Warriors have already made a move? Because Jonathan Kuminga is in the level, once you get down to brass tacks and playoff time and play-in time and must-win games, he's on the same level as Guy Santos. He's on the same level as Buddy Hield. He's on the same level as Quentin Post. Like that's if you want to have a conversation of the Warriors should have already traded him, especially after they made the Jimmy Butler trade, I'm here for that conversation. But that conversation, Greg, is futile at this point because the Warriors have to win one more game here in the next two or their season's a complete and utter failure.
Yeah, and by the way, the narrative around playoffs changes so quickly. And the example I'm going to bring up from last year is, you know who was one of the best players in Oklahoma City's first-round series against was it New Orleans Pelicans as the 8th seed?
Last year? Yeah, last year. Yeah, last year the Pelicans were the 8th. Yeah,
Pelicans were the 8th.
Yeah, they beat the Kings in the second play.
Yes, that's right. Josh Giddey was one of the best players in that series. You know what happened in the second round? OKC, who was the 1 seed, lost to Dallas and Luka Doncic. They end up going to the finals, and Josh Giddey is deemed unplayable, and they decide to get rid of him in a trade to go and get Alex Caruso. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because if the Warriors play Houston, which could very well be the case, and we would know that a little over 48 hours from now, Jonathan Kuminga could all of a sudden have a very meaningful impact in that series. And if they win that series, we're probably having a much different discussion than the one we're having today.
All right, here's the next clip. It's Draymond Green. Good thoughts there from Greg Silver. It's JD and Silver here. It's Dubs OT from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Draymond, my big concern, number one concern off of the way this game played out, the overtime, the energy expended. The Grizzlies rested their starters today at home against Dallas, knowing that they were basically locked into the 8 seed unless some things happened above them that could have moved them to the 7. They won anyway. They beat the Mavs. Mavs are coming out to play the Kings in the play-in tournament, the 9-10 game on Wednesday. None of that matters at this point, but the Grizzlies are going to be fresh. The Warriors played their ass off today, 53 minutes in a knockdown, drag-out, back-and-forth game. What will is a little piece of what the Warriors would have in the tank for Tuesday taken away by how hard they had to work today. Draymond Green was asked about the quick turnaround and the Warriors basically being an old team. Can they stand up?
We'll be fine with the quick turnaround. We haven't fared well in these play-in games, so got to make sure we're locked in and ready to go. But as far as it being a quick turnaround, we'll be all right.
All right. Draymond not worried about the quick turnaround. Immediately they're saying more concerned about the fact that the Warriors have not fared well in the play-in games. 0-3 in the play-in games. Today is a pseudo play-in game. We're not going to count it as 0-4, but the Warriors have lost 3 out of 3 in the play-in tournament. Any extra? Look, that was a non-title contending. Both those teams that lost were non-title contending teams. Is there anything about that format for you that makes you concerned? I actually think the Warriors having the game today and losing it from the mentality play-in hasn't worked for us point of view, I think that actually helps them Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're looking for things to grasp at.
Given that their core is a little bit older and Steph has been dealing with the thumb, of course you would have wanted them to get the rest. I think getting the 6th seed was top priority. Health probably the only thing a little bit above that. So now that's off the table. You don't have it. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I think they should be worried to some degree about the quick turnaround. The faring in the play-in games, whatever, dude. Each game's an isolated case. There's a first time for everything. Maybe the Warriors handle Memphis easily. Maybe they have a game like they just had in Memphis in which they played really well and Podziemski and Moody made some big-time closing plays. It's the play-in history means nothing to me in the sense that it's an isolated case. The only thing I take out of it is, yeah, it's hard when you're gassed and you get into these one-game situations where you use the analogy of maybe Levine and DeRozan could hit 15 threes if they end up matching up with the Kings. And so any little thing not happening, or maybe it's not Steph's night, or maybe the others around Steph just can give you no production, then you just start getting in these really tense and dicey situations. But if the Warriors play their game, and they play as well as they played today, by the way, they will win on Tuesday.
Yes, if they play that game today and have the same energy, intensity, focus, they will win on Tuesday. And once you win on Tuesday, you've got at least 3 days, maybe 4, with some travel halfway across the country. Warriors aren't going to love that part of now you're in the Houston or Oklahoma City portion of the bracket, but I think it's more than doable that the Warriors can get this done. All right, one more from Draymond on what to take from Jimmy Butler's success today with the 30-point output.
I mean, we just draw on having Jimmy as a whole. You know, he saw the effort he put out there tonight. That's it. Not necessarily the experience in the play-in or any of that. Just riding our aces. That's it.
Riding their aces. I think that's well said from Draymond Green. All right, let's hear a couple from Jimmy Butler now. On the 48 minutes that he played in this game, I had a feeling Jimmy wouldn't care, but Jimmy illustrates the fact that he, in fact, does not care about playing a full game, a full regulation game in a 53-minute overtime.
I mean, I would like to hope so. Whatever it takes to win at this point for everybody. If 48's needed, 50 is needed, then you got to be able to do it. We did it, so we back to the drawing boards. We got an important one on Tuesday.
You did it. You'll have to do it again if need be, and you get back to that drawing board, as Jimmy says. Jimmy Butler, we've been talking great game today for Jimmy. Showed he could put up 30 without getting a million free throws, all those things. What didn't Jimmy Butler do well? Well, I don't want you to look at this. What do you think Jimmy Butler didn't do well today?
I think he could have been a little bit more aggressive down the stretch with some more shot hunting in addition to Steph Curry. That would probably be the only mark I have of a list of the way he could have contributed in which he didn't necessarily do.
All right, that's Greg Silver's assessment of Jimmy Butler's performance. Here's Jimmy Butler's assessment of Jimmy Butler's performance and what he could have done better today.
Yeah, we're all right. Maybe contest some shots a little bit better. Oh, get to loose balls. There you go. Lose balls, rebound. I think my sorry ass had one rebound, so if I rebound a lot more, the game might be different.
I think my sorry ass had one rebound. If I rebound a little bit more, things could be a little bit different. Was it, in fact, you were checking the box score, was it, in fact, one rebound for Jimmy Butler today?
It was one rebound for Jimmy Butler today.
That's stunning. Wow. Like, I just pencil him in for 5. And the Warriors did, I mean, if there was an area where the Warriors got beat today, it was on the boards, 42-25. Both teams shot it well. There weren't a lot of opportunities. Some of it was offensive rebounding, a +6 for the Clippers in terms of offensive rebounds, +8 points off those offensive rebounds in the second chance. But, yeah, it is rare that Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield get the same amount of rebounds. And the Warriors' leader today, by the way, was Brandon Pajemski with 7.
Hey!
That's got to be better. That's definitely got to be better. All right,
I think my
one more.
sorry ass had one rebound.
Yeah, that's got. I think that's got to go in the. Kyle, that's got to go in the close. I think new close. I think my sorry ass had one rebound. Gotta love Jimmy Butler, man. Like he comes at you straight. Let's get one more from Jimmy before we'll do some fun with numbers and let everybody know here. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM San Francisco, the sports leader, a Cumulus media station. Warriors lose 124-119 to the Clippers. All right, big question. My number one question, we may have buried the lead here. He got kneed in the quad, looked like he was going to have to come out of the game down the stretch of the overtime, didn't have to come out of the game. Then addressed post-game, and I think this is the one that should have all Warrior fans breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief. Here's Jimmy on the injury and where he thinks he stands for the game that's now 49 hours away.
I feel it. I'll be all right. Go home and play some dominoes, drink some coffee. That'll help it feel better.
I'll go home, play some dominoes, and drink some coffee, and that'll make it feel better.
Creature of habit. What can I say?
Jimmy Buckets is ready to roll. Like, honestly, Jimmy Butler could have a perfect quad right now, no injury. Warriors could have won by 50, and Jimmy Butler would say, I'm going to go home, play some dominoes, and drink some coffee, I think. That would have been exactly.
I'll tell you what drink he's not going to be drinking.
He's not going to be drinking the Malort or whatever you had. You ever had Malort?
No.
You know what Malort is?
No.
It's like a Chicago Midwestern. I think it's specifically in Chicago. It's an odd. It tastes like what I would think lighter fluid would taste like.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Yeah.
It's not good. Malort. They love it in Chicago. So if we got anybody from the Midwest, I got indoctrinated to Malort the last time I was – when I was there in February and then when I was there a couple years ago. But what you said reminded me of Malort, what your drink yesterday. It just – yeah.
Maybe I have to do a side-by-side taste test now.
Yeah, next time you're in Chicago.
Darn it. Okay.
Ask Michael about that. Ask Michael Silver about Malort, if he's ever had Malort.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. That'll be on my list for today.
In Chicago. All right, so that's Jimmy Butler. He's good to go. We're not going to take a timeout here. We're gonna do Kyle's clicks, and then we're gonna do some fun with numbers, and we're gonna wrap things up here as I've gone beyond the 6 o'clock mark. So Kyle, let's go ahead and get our top 5 or 6 here from the final half of the program before we call it an evening in the YouTube chat. EB here, the Warriors were watching Jung-Hoo Lee before the game and never recovered. Yeah, big day for Jung-Hoo Lee. Wow, Jung-Hoo Lee going deep twice at Yankee Stadium. That is. Are we witnessing you don't have to answer this right now. You can save this for 10 o'clock tomorrow. Are we witnessing?
If I get a word in.
Are we witnessing if the other Greg lets you talk? It's your birthday. He better let you talk.
Yeah.
He better.
We'll see.
I
kid, by the way. Love me some Papa and Silver, 10 to 2.
Is Jung-Hoo Lee turning into a star before our very eyes? The answer to that may very well be yes. Next up, Andis Brown, wings are needed in the NBA, though I'm more of a flats guy for chicken wings. All right. Though I'm more of a flats guy for chicken wings. Yeah, he don't. Yeah. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Joe Schmo chilling in East Cape, Baja with a pina colada listening to Dubs OT. Yeah, Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo's living. If there's anybody living better than we are here, it's Joe Schmo.
Joe Schmo probably can't even be upset about the results of the game. Like, life sounds a little too good for him right now to be upset about any result.
Yeah, no need to be upset. Let's EB here. Another one from EB here. Wow, EB here just commandeering the chat. If the Warriors would have won today, we would have had to wait a whole week for Dubs OT with JD, Kyle, and Silver. That's true.
Look at this guy on the bright side.
We're breaking up the week, and we will be on after the game. The Giants are playing 3:45 Pacific on Tuesday, so it's Giants Phillies, it's Giants postgame sports phone, and then whenever this game goes final Tuesday, we're right back here at Harmonic in Thrive City for Dubs OT. So that is a benefit again as long as the Warriors win, because nobody wants Friday. I want to be chilling in Houston on Friday night. I don't think anybody's ever uttered that phrase ever, probably in their life. I want to be chilling in Houston on Friday night, but I just did. So there you go. All right, next up in the chat. Kyle, what do you got? Last one? This is the last one. All right, last one. Our Dubs OT comment of the night.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
San Jose Jazz fan 4 closing out the regular season. Who goes into the liquor store to buy for Greg and Kyle? I'm going to let you answer that one. Greg Papa, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Greg Papa, it's Marcus Boucher, it's Copes, but I will say this. I don't think I've ever had my ID inspected harder than at Oracle Park for the day game.
Oh my God.
This last week.
Oh my God.
It was just getting fully on the, I had to move my thumb. It was getting bent back and forth. I'm like, at this point, I don't need the drink. It's okay. Like, it was probably 15 to 20 seconds worth of my time.
Okay.
And I was just like, I just want to be like, I'm 25. Like,
Greg Silver.
Austin Scott went in and went to the liquor store for Greg and Kyle. We had a person in the chat. Come on over, Austin. Austin Scott here. Yeah, the bucket hat, which was a giveaway at some point. Was it today? Oh, it was today. We gotta talk to our guy Daryl Arata because he's the man. He hooked up Austin here with the bucket hat. We had who goes into the liquor store to buy for Greg and Kyle? Was it? That's I said Greg Papa, but it might actually be Austin, who's younger than both Kyle and Greg. But
we let young Tony do all the work around here.
Yeah, young Tony, who's also older than all of them, I think.
Yes.
But then I'm the oldest of the old that's not like the true OGs, so I stand down. I just don't act like it. I'm going on 22. That's how I roll. Yeah. All right, let's get to our fun with numbers here on Dubs OT, as we call it tonight. So, yeah, go ahead and play the thing, Kyle. Play the thing.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
Get out of here, Kawhi. Fun guy. Nothing fun about you today. Yeah, Kawhi does get the last laugh. All right, Warriors lose to the Clippers. Some fun with numbers here. Warriors are 48-34. They finished the year with 48 wins, +2 over last year, +4 over 2 years ago. They did it down the stretch as they end up 7th in the Western Conference. They'll host the Grizzlies for the 8 seed. Or for the 7 seed coming up on Tuesday. The Grizzlies end up with the 8 seed. Warriors, the 48-34. How about this for symmetry? 24-17 home, 24-17 road. For the Warriors.
I should have known. If I looked at that before today, I would have said, you can just chalk it up to a loss right now.
Yeah, you can. So they even it. The Warriors end up getting swept, and they lose their final 3 home games. Any cause for concern with the Grizzlies here on Tuesday night? They lost to Houston. They lost to the Spurs. They lost to the Clippers.
Nah,
I'm with you. Clippers ended up sweeping the season series, as we mentioned. First time since the 1920 COVID-shortened year, the Warriors got swept by the Clippers. And the time before that, you got to go back 20 years with the Clippers sweeping a 4-game set against the Warriors. Another clutch game for the Dubs. Any concern about the clutch games? They end up the season 25-20, 9-4 in clutch games with Jimmy in the equation, 9-3 in clutch games with Jimmy and Steph both factoring in. Any concern on the clutch thing? I mean, again,
no, I would say clutch is one silver lining of the season, if anything, because
they fixed it, kind of.
Because you're going to need Podziemski, Moody, maybe Jonathan Kuminga, maybe Guy Santos. I could go on and on with the list of possible rotation players, but especially those two, Podziemski and Moody. You're going to need them to be making big plays down the stretch of games. So it's kind of giving them a little bit of a playoff-like experience in the second half of the season.
Yeah, some season numbers here. The Warriors full season, 1,264 three-pointers made, which is the second most in franchise history. The Warriors made about 100. They made 99 more threes 2 years ago, and that was the most in franchise history. And the Warriors' 5th straight year making over 1,000 three-pointers. The game has truly changed. The Warriors' bench deserves a huge nod for this season. 43.6 bench points per game. Highest for the Warriors in franchise history when bench numbers started being tracked, which was about 55 years ago. So impressive there. 3rd in the NBA. The only 2 teams that had better benches than the Warriors this year. The Spurs. Okay, throw that one out. And anybody want to take a guess? The only other team that had a better bench
offensively?
We're talking about points per game.
Austin Scott's Sacramento Kings.
It was the Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh!
Go figure. It was the Kings bench sucked. And it really sucked before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I wasn't going to guess the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings bench actually might be the worst. And that was before they took one of the Grizzlies guys away in Laravia.
Yeah.
And Valanciunas.
No, I more so just wanted to stare at his reaction as I guessed.
Austin's out. Austin's out on that. I mean, he showed up here wearing a Warriors bucket hat, for crying out loud. Like, Austin's going to get shamed in his home area. Austin's going to get shamed by his friends here for wearing that. Steph, 36, 21st 30-point game of the season. Again, Jimmy Butler, 30 points. Highest point total for his time with the Warriors, the 30 points. For Jimmy Butler, only 1 rebound. He was pissed about that. We played the soundbite. Jimmy, his sorry ass, only got 1 rebound. And the Warriors ended up 23-7 with Jimmy Butler. Again, short of being a playoff team today, but the 23-7 and 23-8 in the 31 games since the trade for the Warriors. I think 20 or 21 was deemed to be the high end of the 31 games going back to February 8th in Chicago. They won a couple more than that. And honestly, if Steph doesn't get hurt, they probably won a couple more than that, even independent of today and the Spurs game and the game against the Rockets. Draymond, 4 of 6 from 3. Fourth time this year he made 4 more threes. Warriors only 2-2 in the games where Draymond made 4 threes this year. 20-4 all time. And then Buddy Hield, a slight nod to Buddy Hield, played in every game this year. I'm a big take the ball every day, and this is not to glaze Buddy Hield by any stretch, but I'm a big fan of those who take the ball and play all 82. And I'm going to
Chris Paul doing that.
I'm going to give a nod to Chris Paul.
Hey,
I'm going to give a nod to the NBA. Here's in our final: Chris Paul, Jalen Green. It'll be the last nod I'm giving him before Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges, who routinely plays 82.
And then also played 6 seconds to get the foul.
Correct. And actually, I think Mikal Bridges played 83 last year because he got traded.
Yes.
He was with Brooklyn and then the Knicks, and then he ended up playing 83 because he got traded when, Jarrett Allen, hat tip to him. He's had some injury issues. Harrison Barnes. Jaden McDaniels. Julian Champagnie of the Spurs, go figure, wouldn't have thought of that. Bub Carrington, I have no idea who he played for.
Wizards, and he hit a game winner today in the season finale.
All right, hat tip to him. I had no idea. If we had played all of these guys, if we had played who he played for, I would have not gotten Bub Carrington.
There we go.
I would not have. I will admit that. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Malik Beasley, and Buddy Hield, the 82-game club. Hat tip to Bobby Marks for putting that out. Here as we close out Dubs OT. Final thoughts to you, Greg. We're going to call it an evening here from Harmonic at Thrive City. Use it however you like. It's about 5 hours and 45 minutes from your birthday, bro.
I'm going to go home, roll some dice, drink some coffee, prep some coffee for tomorrow, and buckle up for Tuesday, baby. Let's go.
I'm going to be all right. I'm going to go home. I'm going to play some dominoes, and I'm going to drink some coffee.
Yeah.
So my quad's going to be all right. My voice is going to be fine. And I'll be ready to
play some dominoes, drink some coffee.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you can do. So, go home, play some dominoes, drink some coffee, and rest easy. Get ready for the Dubs and the Grizzlies play-in tournament on Tuesday, 7 o'clock, and know that we're going to be here right after from Harmonic in Thrive City, and then on to Houston from that point on. And the Warriors and the Rockets. And if the Warriors get Tuesday, nobody's tripping about today.
Right now, that's a big if.
All right, make sure you catch Greg Silver with Greg Papa tomorrow, right here from 10 to 2 on the Sports Leader. Going to be talking a lot about today and the loss and the play-in game Tuesday and Jonathan Kuminga. And I got a feeling they're going to talk about Jung-Hoo Lee. I just have a feeling. It's call me crazy. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Jung-Hoo Lee tomorrow. We might. And hopefully more about Jung-Hoo Lee than Jonathan Kuminga, because that's kind of a non-story. To be perfectly honest. So back on Tuesday, for Greg Silver and for Austin Scott and for Mike and Shay and Alex and Eddie, the owner, who was out here, but it looks like even Eddie's dipped. We've been on so long. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Warriors lose to the Clippers. Clippers are the 5 seed. Warriors play the Grizzlies for a spot in the playoffs Tuesday night. And we are going to be all over it right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Butler looking to stagger to Buddy. 3.
Missed everything. Harden with the rebound, and that's going to do it. So the Warriors are going to play on Tuesday night against Memphis in the play-in.
John Dickinson.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Big audio quality show.
You are a sicko, and I appreciate you for it because I'm a sicko.
I just know they kicked our ass tonight.
No class, no balls. I think my sorry ass had 1 rebound. Everything's gonna be all right.